Good morning. Today is Wednesday, November 9th, 2022 at approximately 10:09 a.m. And this is a committee meeting, the St. Louis Board of Aldermen, Streets, Traffic, and Refuse Committee meeting. Madam Clerk, this meeting is called to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Vaccaro.
Present.
Alderwoman Howard.
Present.
Alderwoman Boyd.
Present.
Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Present.
Alderwoman Peel.
Present. Good morning.
Good morning. Chair Tyus.
Present.
Alderman Bosley. We have 6 present. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So we have a quorum. The next order of business is approval of minutes. I entertain a motion to approve the minutes of Wednesday, November 2nd, 2022.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second that we approve the minutes of November 2nd, 2022. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Vaccaro.
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Peel.
Aye.
Chair Tyus.
Aye.
Alderman Bosley. We have 6 aye votes.
By your vote, you approve the minutes of November 2nd, 2022. We're having this meeting because I had a request from several aldermen, including committee members, about what was going on with our public works money and 50/50 sidewalk money. When I first became the chair a little over a year ago, and we started inquiring about this money, I was told that the person who was in charge of 50/50 sidewalk had disappeared, and Kent Flakes, and at that time the director was Jamie Wilson came, and I want to say who else came. Randy might have been here. And so we had all the streets people. This is before Director Williams was here. And they said they didn't know where the money was, that this guy had disappeared. And I don't want to say his name because I don't know what they say it was true, that this guy had disappeared and they had to find out, and they didn't have his proper accounting. And so trying to give the administration a break, I kind of backed off of that. Now, we're not talking about little money. We're talking about some people have put in hundreds of thousands of dollars over several years and didn't get any sidewalks. Again, this administration don't know when people are being nice to them. They think you're doing something to them when really so I gave you over a year and a half. During this time, I called several times and say, hey, how you guys doing? Are you getting to something? Because you were always going to have to come back and give me a report that I could give to the community about what was going on with this money. I have never gotten a report about the 50/50 sidewalk money. I don't know if it's true or not. And so now I'm going to have to go back and have that reconstructed myself. I do know how to. When I got here in 1991, that was one of the few things we had. We used to get $70,000 a year, and 50/50 sidewalk came out of that. But they spent that money, but it wasn't as fast as it was supposed to be spent. And so we then, I was a new person then, but I helped Mary Ross, who was the chair of streets, pass an ordinance that says, instead of just one company, which was Sticker at the time, could do the sidewalk so that we could get this money spent. And we had an ordinance that says there have to be 2 companies. That worked for a little while. Next thing we knew, Sticker was doing both contracts, which was not the way it was supposed to be. In 1993, Freeman Bosley became the mayor. Taxes that North St. Louis had killed for a number of years, he then supported, and the same taxes that we had voted against, he got behind it and supported it. It was not a fair tax. I've been keeping track of it for a long time. And so we had this tax money coming to being. And I actually have the reports from 94 to 2003 when I was racially gerrymandered. I also came back in 2013 and I started keeping the reports and talking to the people I need to talk to. In the meantime, Director Williams came on board. There's been nobody who asked me to present a board bill for the last year. When I got her email, I sent her something back. You all know And maybe people on the public don't know, I had very serious surgery on October the 3rd. I was in the hospital. They kept me for over a month. See, I don't have anything to hide. I mean, not a month, a week. I finally got out of the hospital October the 10th. Whenever I got her email, I responded right back to her. And then in that email, which I've now put on the Google Drive, because some things don't need to be public. It needs to be a conversation. If you learn anything from this, you don't have to do all of this. And so I said, I need you to call me. And the reason why I'll tell you is because I'm getting complaints from everybody about you and Mr. Flakes not returning calls, Ms. Williams. I'm all over. And I'm also getting complaints from the aldermen, and they are rightfully so, saying, hey, where's my money? What's going on? So I am really getting myself in trouble, because I should have just been my hard-nosed self. And after a few months, say, give me these reports right now. But I really thought, this is a new administration. Let them have some time to sort this out. And I know you're a new person, and you, from what I can understand, haven't been doing this. And the streets department is a hard thing to crack. So let me go on record as saying I raised holy hell with the new administration about that in the 31 years I had been there. And I'm also on record on Zoom telling them to their face that there had never been any Black people in charge of anything. And only one woman, Deanna Veneker, had been there, and they ran her out. She's now in the county doing really good work. I always got along with Deanna, and I just think that that is terrible. So I said, we need to have Black people over there in charge. I also have for 30 years been getting calls from the Black refuse workers, and now the white ones about the things that were going on and how they were treated. So I didn't just respond to the Black ones, I responded to the white ones also. And I've been doing it for a long time. I've been here for 4 street directors or 5. So I'm concerned when this whole thing with the trash not being picked up came along. I was very concerned because I've been in my house for 36 years. And so right before that, Vince Shamos put the dumpsters out, because we all used to have trash can. And unfortunately for you guys, I keep all the stuff of what's put out. And I know it's hard, Ms. Williams, when you come into an organization or a department, and they've been really inbred. That's what I call it, because it's all the good old boys was there. And I told Mr. Wilson when he was still the director, I said, look at here, it's all white men here. In 2021, that does not look good to me as a Black female, that they're all white men here. So I was glad to see you come, but I am not glad to see the policies that seem to be going on with how the trash is being picked up, or the policy about, oh, well, maybe North St. Louis doesn't have enough trash, so we're going to try to go to once a week. So I want you all to have heads up. I'm taking the press through these alleys. I didn't want to do this. That's why I say don't start wars that you cannot win. It's real easy to take the press through these alleys and show North St. Louis, any Black alderman will tell you, you go to the 4th Ward and look in their alleys, okay? I live right next to it, and I'm not trying to be funny, I'm just saying, okay? My alley is clean. My alley is clean. So if I was just concerned about me and mine, I wouldn't be having this. But I have a whole community that I represent, not only North St. Louis, but South St. Louis, Central Quarter. I have been getting calls from people down there in the new development around Crondelet Park, right in there. I've been getting calls from people up at Chain of Rock Bridges. I don't know if that's the 2nd Ward or the 27th Ward. People all over. My trash is not getting picked up. What is going on? Then I started getting the emails from people who said they want it, but they also want their recycling done. I am a recycler. I still got my little blue tin that I'll bring you and show you later, because when we first started recycling, we didn't have these dumpsters in the alley. So we paid $40 a week or something thereabout. I mean, not a week, a month. And you put the little blue recycler in the front of your house, and the private company came to pick it up. And that was good. And then we started to be able to make a lot of money. So when I want to say at the end of Francis Slade's term, we put these blue recyclable dumpsters in. And then when the Mayor Cruzen came in, we raised it from $11 to $14. And we said, we're going to make this money off of recycling. And okay, I am on record. You can go look at me saying I'm opposed to going to $14 because they already don't pick up our trash the way they're supposed to. And so I don't want my community to pay more when they're not even getting the services they're supposed to go. We raised it. And then after that, the things that we made money off of, which is, I believe, Africa and China, other places start doing their own recycling or making their own money. And so we weren't making money anymore. And then the cost of gas went up. So I understood the people who wrote me, I sent back and said, hey, I'm a recycler too, but we don't have enough trucks. We don't have enough drivers. And so if we do recycling, and this is how it is, and Randy can unmute yourself, Mr. Brightenfeld. We're gonna swear you in a minute, but Randy can tell you this. Here's a thing back from years ago about how we collect trash. It's a Monday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Friday. And I'm gonna put this also, so you can see that this has been going on for a long time, and this is what people expect. And this is what we told them. And so we started picking up recycling in the blue bins. In my neighborhoods, mostly, it did not work. I found out since that time, it does not work in most of the neighborhoods. There might be a few little blocks that it works in, but when you don't pick up trash, they use the recycling bins to put trash in, okay? And so when that happens, to be able to insist we still are doing recycling, it's not truthful to the general public. And that pains me. So the first thing I heard when you were trying this thing out is all these people, we're not getting our trash picked up. Trash is built up. We also, and am I telling the truth about our days we picked up, Randy? Is that right?
Correct.
Monday,
That's correct.
Thursday?
Yes.
Right. Okay. We also, so we had Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday, so that was for dumpsters. Rollout carts was once a week. And you didn't give them 3 rollout carts. And Randy knows that I've been adding another rollout cart because they had to take their trash out, put it someplace, and then put their yard waste in and then recycle it. So I think that's ridiculous. So I've been paying a little at a time for my people to get a 3rd one, which they like that. And then you only have to pick up trash once. So it doesn't mean you have to go up and down the alley or in the front. And so you have rollout carts once. But then you have yard waste during the months that we pick up once a week. So already in the alleys, you at least got 3 times you're going up and down the alleys. So now you're going to pick up, if you're doing recycling, that's the 4th time. If you got a very limited amount of people and you have a very limited amount of trucks that's working, and you have had people that were undermining you, Director Williams, that makes it very, very hard, okay? That's what I'm telling you. I don't envy you. Although if Sharon Tyus was over there with some people would get their behinds kicked a lot faster. You're a lot nicer than me. So I'm pained when I still hear this stuff about trash not being picked up. Then let's get to the other thing, bulk refuse. So the person who picked up bulk the most for me was a guy named Will Young. And every time we had a dirty alley, you would call Will Young, Alderwoman Boyd knows about it, and anybody else. And then you would get letters from people in that alley saying, who is this person that cleaned this alley? He has it so clean. Wow. The next thing I know, he and one of the former employees we had, I don't know if he's former or what's going on with him, got into it and he was gone. Then the next thing I know, that former employee or whatever his status is, was trying to bring him back. And I don't know why you guys didn't bring him back, because he is one of the dedicated people to doing his job. And to me, bulk refuse is something that doesn't take a lot of thought. You got, I call it it's not Fred Sanford, but it's you got a couple of people in a truck. It could be men and women, and I have to be careful because I'm being sexist because I'll say men. And it could be men or women. Somebody drives a truck and then they pick up this bulk. So I'm thinking to myself, well, bulk it will be easy. You don't really have to have a commercial driver's license to load the stuff on the back of the truck. And we have a really hard problem, and we've been having it for years, with people dumping in our alley. A lot of times it is people who get off the highways and live someplace else in other parts of the metropolitan area. And they think once we got those dumpsters, they start thinking that it was okay to dump in the city of St. Louis. I actually talked to the current mayor when she was still the treasurer about starting to gate some of the alleys and some of the, and I've gotten information from Jamie Williams, because there are gated alleys in our city now In fact, if you go down Union, the former mayor was also the alderperson. A lot of her alleys right along Union are gated. And so I called then Director Jamie Wilson and said, but we got our dumpsters in there. And I said, how does that work? He said, oh, they have a code or they have a card and they get in there. Well, they have big fancy gates. I don't want big fancy gates, but I actually have a board bill that's in my committee now. I've been kind of putting off, but I want to get it passed because I want to test in places where we have dumping. Everybody says put cameras and we can catch them, and some we can, but people have learned how to go around cameras. We had the pandemic, and so everybody wears a mask, and either they steal trucks or they cover up their license plates. So then that makes it a lot harder. So I actually am going to hopefully sit down with you and some other people about how we start to close these alleys down and put gates on them, and nothing fancy like that's up and down Union, but just even what we use to go in and out the Board of Alderman parking or something like that, just so we can keep people out of our alleys. There is no reason for people to be in our alleys and able to dump. And especially if you live along the highways, they get off that highway, they dump, and then they're gone. We actually passed a board bill when Francis Slay was the mayor, and the last thing he did going out the door was to veto it. We had 23 votes for that because other people on all sides of town. And then Lyda Krewson said, well, if you pass it, I'm going to veto it, which I thought was hypocritical since she has the most closed alleys at that time as an alderman of the 28th ward, and was like, we get to have them, but you don't. So I'm bringing it back. I want to do tests. I would really want to test it in other wards, but I'm not trying to, because when my first bill I passed, it was for the whole city. So I just want to test it in mine. If it doesn't work, you take those gates down. But if it does, then you have clean alleys, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's like the speed humps. I've been putting my speed humps up for several years now, and just about all my neighborhoods have speed humps on their residential streets. They love it. This was the first year in 31 years I have never had somebody contact me and say about somebody hitting their car, a child getting hit, an older person. We had one accident a few weeks ago. So a young lady decided to defy the speed humps, and the speed humps defied her because she turned over in her car and they had to get her out. She wasn't hurt, but then she was like, oh, I just thought I could get through here. So I'm saying sometimes we have to look at different ways to address things, okay? And right now, we have to address, how do we stop this dumping? You cannot put police in alleys 24 hours a day. We don't have that. We don't have enough crew to go and keep picking up trash and people who are dumping over and over again. So to me, we have to think out the box. For years, when I first came down here, we would not do speed humps. We didn't do speed bumps for sure. But then now that we've done it, and I'm starting all over the United States, people putting them in there. No, it's not perfect, but it is. Oh, in my neighborhoods, everybody is very happy about them. So I'm just saying that I want to have that conversation. That's why I haven't passed my board bill out, but I want to have that conversation. But right now we're here to talk about what is going on with the trash. I did not intend to talk about Public Works. That was going to be next week. But since the lawyers think that they're getting in front of things when sometimes they're just not. And I'm a lawyer, okay? Sometimes you just make things worse, because I'm going to respond if you respond. And this is my committee, so I'm going to have the last word. So we're going to learn. This the Board of Aldermen. We're over at the legislative body. Maybe we don't respond the way we think we're doing. If somebody told you to do that, Ms. Cross, they again misinformed you, just like they misinformed you about coming after me about the speed humps. That is not the way to do it. I said, Ms. Williams knows, I said, give me a call, and I haven't gotten a call from her to this day. So your letter is really inappropriate. And I almost had the clerk just take it off. And I said, no, you want to put it out here like this, I'll do it. I hope that at some point you will learn not to do this. Thank you. So what I want to do is I just want to have a conversation. The people on the committee, if you have questions, that's the way to do it. And then after that, the people, the aldermen who are here, you are certainly able to ask questions about what's going on. And this is really about trash pickup. Next week, we're going to have about the Public Works and about speed humps and some other things. We're going to be talking about street issues for a couple of weeks in a row. Ken Flake said he couldn't be here, so he's getting a subpoena too. And I'm not going to play that game. When the oversight committee for which you have to go through asks you to come, you come. When aldermen call you, and I know you didn't come from this, you just got to talk to them. Even if you don't want to, you have to talk to them, okay? You have to answer their calls. We had something called, when I first started, it's called an automatic response, an automatic request. And on there, it gave, whenever we turned those in, it was 3 pages, and I got to pull one up. I'll have one next time. And when I sent something to you, I sent one to you requesting whatever needs to be done in the streets as the director of streets. I sent another one to my constituent who asked, and then we kept one. And you had 5 or 7 days, and you were required to answer. Now, if I have to bring those back up, I will. I don't think it, but I don't want aldermen to feel like they're being left out and that they can't get you and you don't respond. That's part of your job as the director. And the reason why I asked the director of operations, because I want to know if somebody is telling you not to respond, then I want to know who that is. And if that's the director of operation, I want to tell her to please stop that. And if that's the mayor, she'll get a subpoena, and I'll tell the mayor, please don't do that. Our whole job as a member of the legislative body is equal to the mayor. The legislative body, the executive body, and the judicial, those are 3 branches of government that cover local, state, and federal. When Joe Biden, our president, talks about getting a budget, he still has to come through Congress. The Board of Aldermen used to have 2, they were bifurcated. So they did just like Congress. They used to have something like Congress, and then they had the Senate. So they went away from bifurcated, but we still serve the same purpose. So all the mayors who don't want us to have oversight, don't want us to be a check and balance, as long as I'm a member of the Board of Aldermen, I'm gonna be a check and balance. I also know the rules probably better than anybody else in this whole city of St. Louis, especially City Hall. And so if you do not do what I asked you to do, which is never unreasonable, then I will do the things within my power. I want people to understand that so we don't have to do it. If you don't show up for a subpoena, I will send the marshals and I will do a body attachment. If you don't show up to testify, then the same things that happen in Congress, you can get our rules and start reading them. We are authorized, and I think they're in the charter too, to then fine you and imprison you. You have to have conversations with us, okay? So I just want to make that known. And if anybody has any questions about this, ask me now. And this is for the people who are asked to be here, the director, the executive director, or the deputy refuse commissioner, who you all know I love. I think he is wonderful. And he'll tell you, I've been fighting his battle for a long time, because and most aldermen love him because he tries to do his job. So if you all have any questions about what's going on, I wanted to explain it to you so that you understand. You don't have, this is not a request or invitation if I send you a subpoena, it's a command. And that's because I feel like I'm not being heard. And not just me, my committee and the members of the Board of Aldermen. So if there's any questions, I'll answer them now. Okay, good. We know that. So now what I want to do is I want to just start out. I have some questions. And I want to start with the director of operations, but I do want to tell you how this works. You're not really, you're going to testify, so I have to swear you in, but it's not really a public coming off of the street testifying. I let people, once you get to talk, just like I'm long-winded, you can be long-winded also. Usually when we're having a public hearing, it's like I'm supporting and then somebody else is opposing, but that's not really. We're having a public conversation about what's going on with our street department and our trash. So I need you 3 members that are from the street department or from the mayor's office to raise your right hand, and we're going to do an oath or affirmation of witness, and I need you to unmute yourself. Okay. And so pursuant to Article 4, Section 8 of the City Charter, the president and committee chair shall administer oaths to witnesses. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, do you? Okay, thank you. So I'm going to start with the director of operations. And so so people don't necessarily know, but the director of operations does. So I wanted to start with giving her a chance, Director Cross, to tell me what is the director of operations and exactly what they do, and how does that have anything to do with the street department, please?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. The Director of Operations oversees a lot of the operational services departments within the city. That includes the Department of Streets, Traffic and Refuse, Water Department, Human Services, Department of Health, and a number of other city operations that occur in the city. But today we're focused on streets, refuse, and traffic, and that department reports to me.
Okay, so does Ms. Williams report directly to you, or does she report to the chief of staff, or does she report to both? How does that work?
On a table of organization, she reports directly to me, but if the chief of staff has any questions or anything, he has the right and ability to call and talk with her as well.
Okay, and do you all have a table of organization that you could share with the members of this committee?
I don't know, so I will find out if that is available.
If you don't, I would like one produced, and you can send it over to our clerk so that our committee members, and in fact, I'm going to ask him to share that with all the members of the Board of Aldermen, so we will know how that works, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so since Director Williams reports directly to you, do you have monthly meetings, weekly meetings, what?
Most an official weekly meeting, as well as number of conversations and other meetings depending on what issues are occurring at a particular time. But we have a regularly scheduled meeting. I meet with most of the directors. I meet with many of the directors on a regular schedule, and then I have others that I meet with maybe once a month.
Okay, so this is at a staff meeting that the mayor has with all her directors, or is this something
No.
separate?
No, I have one-on-one meetings with many of the department heads.
Okay, so I suppose if I've been getting calls from even former chiefs of staffs and everything else about the trash, that the mayor's office has to be hearing these calls and emails also. So have you and Director Williams had meetings about what is going on with the trash pickup?
Yes.
Okay, and can you tell me what kind of plan you came up with?
The plan was based on the people within the department that do the day-to-day operations to figure out how initially in, I think, the summer of 2021 or sometime in 2021, we stopped recycling and had people take the recycling to specific locations if they had previously used an alley dumpster to collect their recycling, and to try and catch up because the trash had become had been backlogged. We then went through that and saw where we were, and the refuse commissioner, I believe the deputy refuse commissioner, the director of streets, and a number of other people reviewed and came up with a policy, what they thought they could do in order to restart the recycling, which we did in May of 2022, and still pick up the trash on a regular basis. And we looked at what we were required to do, what we thought we would be able to do with the manpower or lack of people power that we had in number of trucks, and proceeded from there to try and correct the situation and move forward with recycling and still being able to pick up people's trash.
Okay, so when I go online, because I use the assessors database all the time. And when I go online, it says it guarantees you one trash pickup for the dumpsters a week, and it doesn't tell you when. We always told the people when, and we always then told them when that we would do that week, that we would do their yard waste, and when we would do their bulk pickup. So is the solution that you came up with is just to pick up the dumpsters once a week?
They went back to what the website said as to when the trash was to be picked up. It was my understanding that people had notification of what day, what type of, like I won't say that.
Hello?
What day trash, recycling, and yard waste were to be picked up depending on where you live.
I'm having a Zoom call right now. Do you need?
So can I park in your parking spot?
Yes,
for about 20
yes,
minutes?
yes.
Thanks. And will you call me?
I gotta go because I'm having I'm sorry. People think that they can call me and have a meeting, so please forgive me. I'm sorry. What did you say? So you went back to what's on the website, which is once a week?
Once a week, and then it was my understanding that the website also provided you with information as to what day of the week your trash was to be picked up, what day was the bulk to be picked up, yard waste and recycling.
So right now, if I go and look up my address, St. Louis City property and address search, so I'm doing it on Google as we speak, then it should tell me what day and when my other stuff is going to be picked up. Is that right?
That's my understanding. And we did
And-
not change any of that when we came in as far as what, I don't believe we've changed anything on that website from what it was before we came into office.
Oh, let me just tell you, I know that Lida was doing, Mayor Cruzen was doing things she had no business doing. As I said before, when we sold this thing, we sold it that people would get their trash picked up twice a week. And so from the dumpsters. So when I look at this, and we didn't, recycling wasn't even part of anything, okay? We didn't really push recycling until at the end of the Slay administration. And then we really pushed it when we raised $3 more because we don't give the full $14 to the trash department, or that doesn't go into their records. They only get the last $3 that we raised. You might know that, or you may not know that.
Mhm.
So anyway, when I look at, I'm looking at my own record. So when I look at this here, economic geography, residential services, fire, MSD, water, Laclede gas, polling places, street applications. Real estate sales history disclaimer, building permit boundaries and geography. I'm trying to see. I don't even see it here now. Let's see here. I see police district, fire district, Ameren, Laclede gas, MSD, water. Polling place. Okay, other service, City of St. Louis services. Maybe they moved it to here. Nope, it's not there. Trash and maintenance here. Okay, I'll ask for that. Can some other members of the committee look onto their,
Madam Chair, if you keep going down, it says alley dumpsters and the
where
guaranteed
is
service
it under? Because I'm,
It's under alley dumpsters. And it
but I'm
says,
saying what's right before it?
right before it is refuse schedule.
Okay, so I'm looking at mine. It says, okay, I'm looking at real estate tax summary, sales history.
Okay, keep going past service requests, polling place information, go past the polling place.
Okay, public schools, polling
Yeah,
place,
Go past that, go
service
past.
request, trash and maintenance. Okay, yeah, okay. So street clean, refuse schedule, street cleaning schedule.
Mhm.
What does that mean? Can you tell me what that means?
I don't know where you're reading from.
I went on the assessor's database because that's where you usually can get what you guys are doing. Okay. So if I'm putting in my own address,
Recycling once a week and yard waste once a week.
right? But when it talks to, now it says alley dumpsters, trash at least once per week, recycling at least once per week, yard waste Fridays. So what I'm telling you, which is so interesting, you're following somebody that was not doing what she was supposed to do. Again, since we did this, we were picking up trash twice a week. Okay, so you just followed what the previous mayor was doing, even though she wasn't, let me just tell you, she wasn't doing recycling either. She just didn't tell people she wasn't doing it. Okay, so I know about that. Not because I was on streets and traffic, because the only time I got put off of streets is when the current mayor was the city treasurer, and the former alderman from the 22nd was going after her. So they put me off to punish me for supporting her. So I was punished by being put off, but I still kept track of things. And so always before this, and I actually, like I said, I got this published from, what year is this? 2012, 13, 14, what our trash collection schedule was. So they just slowly, Todd Walterman slowly changed that without telling anybody, okay? But that has not been what we've done. And I actually have some stuff from when back in the 80s, we've always had 2 trash pickups. And I can tell you personally in my alley why that's important, and most of North St. Louis, and Randy can tell you this also. We're supposed to have a dumpster for every 4 households. And so if you have, on my side of the alley and on Maffett Place, we have 20 single family houses. On the other side of the alley in Northland, we got some multifamily, single families, and they're 2 families. I don't think there's any 4 families. So they have like 24, 26 households. No, but anyway, we're supposed to have like 12 trash dumpsters, and we only have 8 trash dumpsters. And you can find that all over North St. Louis, because we never got the amount of dumpsters that we were promised that we would have to address how we would pick trash up. And Randy, am I correct in saying that it was supposed to be 1 dumpster per 4 households?
That is correct.
Okay, so when you then don't give me the correct trash dumpsters, and then you wait for a week more to pick up trash, that makes for dirty alleys. And that's why we need to have conversations before decisions are made of what we're going to do, because we don't want this to be a dictatorship. And we want you all to have all the good information so that when you're making decisions, you can know past policies and procedures. When you've promised people things for years, and you've done it that way for years, and like I said, slowly Todd Walterman did that. And he did all kinds of things that was illegal. He went to letting the grass go up to your knees. He went to having people sweep the stuff out into the streets. All of that is illegal. We have ordinances that says that's illegal, but that's what Todd did because he didn't live in our section of town. But that is nothing we should be doing so we can get back to recycling, when I bet you 85% of the city will tell you or more that they would rather have their trash picked up than recycling. And I think you and the mayor should ride through alleys, and the director should ride through these alleys with me. And then if you don't want your alleys to look like that, you need to really take a serious look at what the decisions you made, because they were not good decisions under Mayor Krewson. And I would say to you, that's why the mayor ran against her. And so don't follow decisions that were not good. That was not a good decision. It made the alleys dirtier. And if you go, there are dirty alleys. There are LRA properties, which we'll talk about at a different time, that haven't had their backyards cut in 4 and 5 years. You all don't know this because you don't ride these alleys, but I do. The Alderman from the 27th does. So when you're telling me you're going back to picking up once a week, that's why I'm here getting all these calls, because that's not adequate for a lot of people, because they already don't have enough dumpsters. And depending on where they are, they don't just keep that trash in their garage or keep it in their house. They just send their kids or somebody else out and they put that next to the dumpsters. So now we got filthy alleys, which is also makes for us to have rodents and mice and everything like that. So to me, that was something that you would have said, hey, we need to have a conversation about this. This is what we're thinking about doing, not just go to it and not know where it came from, okay? I think that's a mistake. So that, and I'll say that this morning I had 4 or 5 emails about, hey, they didn't pick up my trash. I don't believe it's the refuse commissioner, deputy refuse commissioner, and I don't believe it's the drivers. We're going to get into how many trucks we have, how many drivers we have, and all of that. But again, just going back to doing recycling because we said we can, doesn't mean it's working. It might be working for a few people, but a lot of people it's not. And when I would say before I take the press, let's us take a ride. And then maybe you would say, okay, we hear why the North Side aldermen and some South Side aldermen are so angry because we didn't have this data and information, okay? So anyway, so I see now, and I did a screenshot of this, you're guaranteeing us once a week and we still get recycling. And I'm gonna put in a board bill to ask for a non-binding, just for your own thing, that we have a vote. How many people would rather have one trash pickup and recycling? And I bet you will find out people don't want to do that. And we're not making money. And it makes much more sense, me a recycler, to have them go to either a private company, or we still, like the police department, we still have the fire department through all neighborhoods. Just put extra recycling dumpsters there and let people like me go to the fire department. I would do that. Now, the people who say I want to still keep my alley recycling, then we need to raise their price, okay? Because it costs more. And we're working Deputy Refuse Commissioner Randy Brightenfield to death. And he already did this job for 3.5 years without pay. And I will send you the letters that I wrote to Director Wilson, to former personnel director. I think that's so unfair. I've encouraged him to sue the city. I think that is really unfair to have a man do the job and don't pay him, okay, with the money that other people make. So this is not about just race for me. This is about a fairness. And there is never a time, I don't think any alderperson on here can tell you, if you call Randy Brightenfield, he'll say, okay, alderwoman, okay, alderman, I'll get that done for you. Everybody can tell you that. When you have people like that that work for you for a city and you keep abusing them, they go someplace else and they do really well. So we're not doing a good job for the people that we have. When, you know, he's going to work as hard as he can for you, but you're making it harder when you say, but some people want recycling. Okay, and I want gold in my alley too. But right now we just don't have the wherewithal to do that. And so you can keep doing it, but people are mad about that. So I'm just telling you. So that once a week, I'm going to send you the stuff that I have. That is not okay, because that's not what was done. And that was done underhandedly by Lyda Cruzen's person, former director of operations, Todd Walterman, and he broke all kinds of laws. You don't want to do what he did, because it's not all right. And he also didn't care if it was in North St. Louis, because he lived in South St. Louis. So he gave special services, which I can show you, like leaf pickup. I've been collecting this stuff for last year, a lot of years. You don't want all this stuff out here, but I will throw it all out there if you need me. But he's not a person you need to be following. That's what I'm saying. That is not the correct way. And that's not what we promised our constituents and the people here. And to then just do it anyway and say, we're going to do recycling, is petulant and it's irresponsible to me. Okay. So anyway, so we get these once a week guaranteed trash pickup. And we get once a week, and we say what day, let me see here, that we get, though looking at this, recycling at least once a week. Yard waste Friday. So recycling is as important as trash, is what I understand. And I don't understand that, because recycling does not make all the animals and dirty alleys and things like that. And so again, you're not getting clean recycling. If you come in my alley right now, you'll see tires, TVs, and everything else in the recycling dumpsters. So to me, you're just wasting a lot of time going back through there, running a whole another crew to do recycling when the people are not recycling. Okay, so large bulk items, week of the first Monday of the month. Now, I thought, and correct me, Randy, if I'm wrong, that bulk items, depending on where you live, got picked up at different time, because you cannot pick all the bulk at one time on the first Monday unless you're not picking up trash. So Director Brightenfield, our Deputy Director, did we always do like bulk just the first Monday of the month? Is that the way we did it?
No, actually there's 4 quadrants in each, there's 4 quadrants north, 4 quadrants south.
Right.
So give each quadrant a whole week for their bulk pickup.
And so while I got you, how many bulk crews do we have right now?
Right now, we average 3 to 4 a day.
We have 3 crews?
We
How many
have,
crews?
right now, we have about 3 to 4 crews is all we have doing.
Okay,
bulk
for the whole city.
For the whole city.
And on a crew, is the truck driver, do they actually get up and help pick up stuff also?
Yes, they work as a team, correct.
So how many other people besides the driver?
So you have a driver and a helper in each truck. So two man crews. Or
Two-person crew.
2-person crews.
I'm sexist like that too. So every time I say that, one of the women who work for the refuse will say, "Oh, the women, we work there too." So 2-person crew. Okay.
2-person crews.
All right. And you will hire women, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right,
Some of
so
my best workers.
I'm prejudiced like that, but not better than you, but everybody else maybe, okay? And not better than Will Young, but you two are exceptions. But other than that, women do work really hard. Okay, so I'm back to the Director of Operations. So you just still are, you're putting recycling equal to trash. Explain that to me, please, why that is recycling is equal to trash under this administration.
Can you rephrase the question? I don't understand what you're asking me.
Okay, if you look at this, go on to, and I'm looking at alley dumpsters, trash at least once a week, recycling at least once per week. I can't believe we have clean recycling that equals to being picked up once a week as we do trash. So I'm trying to understand how that is getting the same amount of play or the same amount of pickup.
I'm trying to locate the page that you're
Okay,
reading.
so go into, so if the city assessors, I always just do, I do Google and say St. Louis City address and property search.
Is it on the system?
It's on the city site website, address and property search. And it's the assessors database, and it gives you a lot of information.
Hold on one moment, ma'am.
No problem. When you get to address and property search, I always just put in whatever address I'm looking when people call me for problems, but you can put your own address in also.
Sorry.
No problem.
We had a surge in City Hall and everything is working a lot slower. So I'm at the page now and I put an address in that was there before. So
Okay,
so
so
rephrase your question.
okay, so when you put the address in, make sure when you look over and it gives, because it'll bring that address up. Look over to the right and it'll say selections, and you can check real estate boundaries, residential service, trash and maintenance, contact. And you
I
make
have
sure-
that.
Okay, if you have all of that, then if you go down to the bottom,
Yes,
very bottom, almost, not quite the bottom, right before contacts and elected officials, it tells you about alley dumpsters.
yes.
Okay, so it says trash at least one per week and recycling at least one per week. So
Mhm.
that indicates to me that recycling is equal to trash, and I'm trying to figure out how that is.
My understanding, and Director Williams can be clearer on this, is that we pick up people's trash 4 days a week. So we have 55 routes and we're picking up trash 4 days a week. And on one of the days, I think it's Wednesday, we pick up recycling that day during the week.
So you
So
pick up recycling and trash at the same time?
No, we pick up recycling on one day of the week, and we pick up trash in different areas 4 days a week. There is trash to be picked up. We have 55 routes that have to be picked up, and we make up routes on Wednesday and Friday and the weekends, and Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday are additional days that we pick up when we need to, but we pick up trash at least once per week. I believe there are some areas that are getting alley dumpsters picked up sometimes twice a week, depending on the number of drivers that we have and what we see the need is based on the information that we're gathering for data purposes on these things. And then we pick up the recycling at least once per week throughout the city.
So we pick up, let me make sure I understand this. We pick up trash 3 days a week.
4, I was mistaken. It's 4 days a week.
And then recycling.
Monday, Tuesday, right.
Go ahead.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday is waste pickup. And Director Williams should correct me if I'm wrong on this. Randy seems to be shaking his head yes, so,
Okay, yeah, I know that. That was always.
okay.
And,
But I
we
just
didn't
want to
put
make
up-
sure I'm
right.
saying the right
Yeah,
things.
but we didn't put on the website at that time. It didn't say at least one time a week. It would say, which I have, it would tell you what your trash pickup is. And let me tell you the problem that you have when you just put one day out there like that. Then when you don't pick it up and people call to complain, they say, oh, well, we're going to come back. Citizen service will tell you that. Whereas when you have a permanent day, then you know to call. I would always tell my people, I've been doing this such a long time. So if their trash pickup was Monday, Thursday, and they didn't get their trash picked up at Monday, at Tuesday morning, they were calling me, okay, saying I didn't get my trash. And I was calling refuse saying, hey, you guys missed this alley, this alley, this alley. Now, people think that's an automatic job. It's not, but it sure is a constituent service, okay? So if you tell them one day, then they don't have a way to say, hey, when are you gonna pick this up? This
Right.
leaving you with too much leeway for me to not pick the trash up on time. So that's why I think that's a mistake. And then
So-
you're making the alleys dirty because people don't know. And they used to have, and I guess it was for yard waste or bulk or something, they would have, and I got to go take some pictures. They would have these stickers on the dumpsters telling you different things. So the people, when they took their trash out or yard waste or whatever, then that was information that was right on the dumpsters and they would put it on every so often. And it kept the alleys much cleaner. The alleys are getting dirtier and dirtier. And that,
And-
like I said, is because they don't know when the trash gets put out. or
So,
picked up.
so with the address I put in turned out to be a roller cart address, which gives more specific information. So,
Right.
then as to when everything is picked up, I
Correct.
hear what you're saying about the alley cart. The second point is that we do have and have had a sticker program that was implemented by Brightside for us, and they're willing to do that again. And get some stickers out to re-sticker some of the dumpsters, especially as we get new dumpsters, which are going in to replace the old ones, that remind people of what the process should be. And they've also offered, depending on their funding, to help us do education on what goes in which pile, because recycling has changed over the years, and there's things that people used to recycle that you can't in the same way as you did before because the rules have changed. So,
Okay.
but
So-
we are trying to get that done as well and have some education done.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Then we should also put it in digital form right here on the assessor's database, not say trash at least once per week. Now, sometimes you will not be able to do Monday, Thursday, something will come up, Tuesday, Friday, okay? But
Mhm.
mostly they need a routine. And I'm going to push to take the recycling dumpsters out of my alley because they're just in the way. Nobody is recycling. I recycle, and I'm going to push for to pay extra and for us to either have private recycling or to take it to the fire department. Do we have dumpsters at the fire department? If I wanted to just take it to the fire departments now, do we have dumpsters that we could do that? Do you know?
Yes, we do. And I have another option for you to think about, and maybe
Okay.
the committee comes back, which is that using potentially roll carts for recycling at some point and looking at neighborhoods that might prefer to have a roll cart. It depends on what your neighborhood or at ward would want to do in the routes, that how we are trying to figure out. There are people that want to do things a little bit differently than currently, but not getting rid of alley carts as a whole, but trying to figure out where, because there are a number of places in the city where people have roll carts that they actually like.
The
And there
27th
may be other people. I know there are some from being in the 27th ward. I know there's odd streets in the 22nd. And I think I've spent time in the 21st, the 4th, and the 24th, I think, checking alleys and checking on this, and have found combination neighborhoods that I had not anticipated. So in going in the alleys in some of the North City and a couple in South City, when people have complained, to check and see what's going on with their trash. I have been out there doing that.
Well, so back when Greg Carter was still the alderperson, he and I had inquired about, and I wish I would have done it. He did a big push and moved a lot of people over to roll carts. And at first they were unhappy, but they ended up liking them. And Refuge didn't really love it because that meant you had to do each individual household versus a dumpster that was bigger and did 4 households or more. But if we're going to be solely limited on how many trucks we have or drivers, I'm going to be pushing more and more for my people to go to roll out carts. And I'll buy the third blue dumpster if that's what will make picking up trash. That way you will only have to go through my alley once for trash and once for yard waste. And like I said, I don't really believe, I haven't seen in driving through my alleys, and I go and look in the blue, all I see is trash. So to me, we need to get rid of it where people don't want it. I'm going to do a survey of my ward, and I'm going to do it by neighborhood. Do you want yard waste? A lot, or would you just rather have trash and trash and yard waste, and then we put the recycling over at the fire station. And I think the True Blue recyclers, because I've been talking to them, they will go, because the fire station is right around the corner on Natural Bridge, and another one over in the Penrose area is at Margaretta. So we know where the fire stations are. They didn't take them out of our community. I think that you're putting too much stress on the Deputy Refuge Commissioner, and it would free up people. The thing that I think that they resent is that they keep hearing that other people are getting services. Everybody pays the same $14. You cannot pick up my trash once and then pick up somebody else's trash twice, and we got the same container refuse. That is blatantly will not stand up, okay? And it won't stand up to, I believe, the Hancock Amendment, which you talk about a fee and a service. So I think you really got to look at what you're doing and just the unfairness. And like I said, we have never, I'm doing surveys of my alleys now, we never had enough dumpsters in North St. Louis on purpose. And so you cannot pick up our trash once a week. It will make for dirty alleys. And there are alleys that need, oh God, if I lived on those alleys, I would be every week saying, okay, we're doing an alley cleanup, okay? Because you can't drive through some of them. And it's just, a lot of it started with the LRA properties, which when forestry cuts, which they do not have the responsibility under charter to cut LRA properties, and they're inundated, they just cut the front yards. They don't cut the backyards. So when you haven't cut a backyard for 4 or 5 years, then you need a back loader. Or even when they cut the backyard, they'll cut up to the end and they don't cut along the alley. And then we're making the people who live in those neighborhoods as though they did something wrong. They didn't do anything wrong. Recently, we took a tour with my BPS person and the police and the fire about some streets that can get closed. And so the policeman said to me, Alderwoman, all of your grass is cut except for these lots. Are these LRA lots? They all were. He said, I would be so mad. And I am mad. I'm mad because my constituents cut their grass and the city is breaking the law. And that was again implemented by Todd Walterman, not under Mayor Krewson, but under Slay, because he didn't care. Okay, so I just don't want you to follow what they did blindly because it was often wrong. And I'm going to send you the law about not sweeping stuff out into the street, the ordinance, and the one about not letting grass, so you can know that that's not okay. And mostly what they did, you don't want to do. Okay, we're trying to give good service to everybody, and I'm trying to keep people in the city and liking to live in the city because I've lost 5 people since this new administration, and they're like, I'm out, Sharon. You have begged us forever, but I'm out. And they're upper middle class Black people who just couldn't take it anymore. They could not take the tall grass. They could not take the trash being picked up. And so that's something that we can do better. That's what I'm saying. And if people want to have alley services, I don't want to take that away from their recycling, but the fact of it is that was 17, this is 22 going on to 23. Gas costs a lot more money, and we do have to change the price of things, and we can't do everything that we were doing for the same price. And we have to tell people the truth. I hate increasing anything. I was mad when I came back. We had free trash pickup. It wasn't free, but it came out of what we paid in taxes. And then when I came back, it was $11.13. I was like, why did you all do this? Okay. And they did it in 12, and I thought that was ridiculous. And then in 17, we went to $14. But we cannot do trash, recycling, bulk, and all the ways we pick up trash and try to keep our alleys clean. And they're getting dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. And that is not fair to the people who want to live in a clean city. So I will send you some stuff, okay?
I appreciate that.
All
We are
right.
looking at some changes that hopefully address already what you're referring to as to how we cut the grass, what properties we cut, what we don't, who we sue for not private individuals who don't cut their grass. We are cutting their grass and then suing them and collecting that money. Problem Properties Division is larger than it was before. We're looking for more money on that. We have put in about 225 new cameras this year, and we hope to get to 300. The largest amount of cameras were in the 27th and 22nd Ward. And Alderman Boyd may know that there was a woman in the neighborhood who wanted me to tell her where the cameras were, and we wouldn't tell her. She got mad. But the reality is, faced with the environmental, I'm going to get it wrong, the Environmental Investigative Unit, EIU, they have been sending summonses and charging people for dumping, and that is beginning to work. We just need to be more vocal about that publicly so people understand if you come in and dump in the city of St. Louis now, we will come after you. And the cameras you all passed last session are able to be moved around, so that'll be helpful too. So we don't have to, you won't always know where they are. They get moved around and they're much easier to manipulate than before from our side, as far as, I think it's a little flash drive or something as to how you get some easy technology that doesn't involve people climbing up trees to put the cameras in places like in the old days. So we were very happily surprised to see the amount of work that unit has done, and that eventually will help Randy with the bulk people and the collecting of dumping, because that will hopefully begin to change that narrative.
Okay, and I look for that. And as I said, I'm not a big camera fan. I have them, but again, it's real easy to go around a camera.
Right.
And so that's why I want to close my alleys. The places where I have a place that they dump right behind Sherman Park, and that lady calls for hours on end and the police don't come. And so the people know the police don't come. So they sit there and they go and unload, and it's right there between a street called Theodosia and Cope Brilliant, and it's behind Sherman Park. And she's just so exasperated. So I'm connecting her with the people who do the trash. And I'm hoping that they will be able to come out, because the people just take their time and then they'll come back and unload another one, and we're forever. We have a camera there, but they figured that camera out pretty fast. Whereas if they didn't have access to that alley, and like I said, I'm not asking the city to pay for it. I want to use my ward capital money to test some of these alleys. And if that keeps them, and I know it works because I look at those pristine alleys up and down Union, and I'm envious because they got a gate on it. So that's just what I'm saying here, is that I want us to work together and don't give people special pickups and then other people are not getting them, because that'll give you a lawsuit that they'll win. Okay. So good. So we're doing Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Fridays. That's what I heard from you, right?
We collect trash 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We don't necessarily collect trash like the old days, which was a Monday and a Thursday, and maybe I might get the days wrong. We're not collecting trash twice. So in the before May of 2021, we would collect the trash on 2500 Kings Highway on a Monday, and then we would come back again and collect it on Thursday. And you haven't really picked up as much trash as you would if you wait. Like, we try to verify how much trash people would make in a couple of days in order to come to the 1 day a week thing. We would come back. So now
I will never support a 1 day a week. That does not help. I know you guys think it does because you live someplace else. No, I don't know any North St. Louis alderman that will support that. And if you make my alleys dirtier, then you will make me an enemy. And I'm just telling you that is not a good idea. That only comes from people who don't live on these alleys and don't have to drive them. I've been driving them for 30 years. Some things that I did, and this even, I don't know if this predates Randy. What I will go to before that I do that is I go to push carts, okay? Okay, thank you, Alderwoman Schweitzer. I up and down Euclid, not push carts, roll carts. I did roll carts. It stopped the dumping immediately because somehow people equate these dumpsters with, oh, I can just put this stuff right by it. So I still think you might want the most trash, but you don't require that from the people who have a roll cart. And when you've done something for that long, I think you have to have community input, not just come in and say, we're changing this. That doesn't work that way. And as the Alderwoman that served the longest at the Board of Aldermen, that doesn't work, okay? So I think that you have made a mistake to implement it without having conversation with the street committee and with other aldermen. It may work in their area, but when you really ride through these alleys, we don't need less trash pickup. We need people to do their job. And I want to speak to one other thing. You talk about the cutting the grass and all of that. I would suggest that we take LRA away from the city and we get people who divide it into sections, LRA property, and then we contract that out. There is no place in the charter that says that LRA property is supposed to be cut by Parks, Forestry, and Recreation. They're supposed to cut our properties, and then people like me, if I don't cut my grass and I got property, they're supposed to charge me. But they never get back enough to charge them enough. I want to charge them the first cut $200 and the second cut $400 because, again, they're not keeping community standards, and we're making the community around it have to suffer because the forestry is so inundated, they can't cut all that grass. So since we have money, why don't we just contract that out and have people cut it? We have 4 or 5 sectors, and I'm only talking about the LRA property. And I think we should put a lien against that property so that if we actually sell that property, we may not get it all back, but we should be able to keep a running track of how much money we're spending on cutting grass. Okay, so that's another thing I want to have a conversation with you guys about. There's some different ways of doing things, and that way forestry and parks and recreation, forestry and parks could cut the parks, and they could cut our property that we as a city own, and then they could come and say, Sharon Tyus does never cut 4968 Maffin Place, so we're going to cut it the first time and charge her $200, and then each time afterwards we're going to charge her $400, and it would not take long until people would start cutting their grass, because right now they don't get to them maybe once in a summer, and so they don't care about that little money. Their tax dollars are way North St. Louis properties are way under taxed as it is, and so when you add a little $100 onto that, they don't care. So they just don't cut it. So there's a way to make them do it. Okay, we've had a good conversation. I'm gonna, all the people say they have to leave. Yes.
Could I just say that based on the grass cutting, I would like to see, I know you're not in charge of the Parks Committee, but if you would like to have a conversation separately about that with Alan Jankowski, Jankowski and Greg and I about what we're looking at going forward and with part of the infrastructure bill and how we've changed that, we'd be happy to do that with you because
also Alderman Gunther, because he's the chair of Parks.
Okay, and he's on here. So, but we would be willing to do that with you all as well, to look at how we're trying to do it in an 11 district system, and it will hopefully address some of the things that you're mentioning is the plan. We'll see if when it gets in working, if the plan works as good on paper as it does in reality, but
well,
we do
good.
have that. Okay.
I talk to
Thank
Alan.
you.
I talk to Alan all the time, and I used to talk to
Okay.
Greg when he was doing that. So I've been talking when I came back, and Greg Hayes was the one that I found out they weren't cutting the backyards for 5 years because he would say, "Oh, woman, that's been cut," and I would send him with my little iPad. I got about 10,000 pictures on here. I would send it and say, "Greg Hayes, I'm sending you this," and then he would say, after a while, he said, "Alderwoman, you never have to send me another picture. When you just tell me that it's not cut, I'll believe you." Okay. So we've been having that conversation for a while. I just don't think it's fair to give to forestry. We didn't have money before, so I didn't really push this, but if we have money now, we should be cutting that separately. So I'm going to leave that alone.
Right. That is part of the plan, which we'd be happy to talk to you about separately, and
Okay.
Alderman Gunther, if that's possible. So
Okay.
thank you,
And then I want to ask, then I'm going to open it up to the committee and they can ask anybody. Deputy Refuse Commissioner Brightfield, how many routes do we have for trash?
We got about 55 total.
55. And how many trucks do we have?
Well, total trucks in our fleet is about 100 trucks. That includes bulk trucks.
How many for trash and how many for bulk?
We got about 70, I think we got about 70 for trash and 74 for trash and 25 for bulk.
They don't have to be exact. And are they always up and running, or do we have a problem that some of them are always down being worked on?
Yeah, so, yeah, they're on a good day, we'll have over 50 trucks. That would be a good day for us.
And in the best of both worlds, how many trucks and how many how many drivers do we have? That's the other question I wanted.
Usually average in the mid-30s every day. So
Okay.
we're starting out about, 20 drivers short every day.
And in the best of both worlds, how many trucks and drivers would be going up and down these routes?
Well, in a perfect world, I would need 12 drivers to do all my bulk routes. And
Okay,
I would need 14 drivers to do all my yard waste routes and about 40 drivers to do all my alley routes.
so yard waste was how many? 14?
So roll carts, we have 13
Okay.
to 14 roll cart routes every
Okay.
day.
So
And
roll
about
carts,
and about 41 alley routes, 42 alley routes every day.
and that would cover what you need?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that would
All right.
cover it. No, I
Okay.
mean, yes, that would cover it for sure.
And so these routes are broken up into north and south?
Well, we use Highway 44 as our dividing line.
Okay. Okay, so all these questions I kind of have answers to because I made Nick Young give me this back in 2018, okay? I asked these questions often to follow up on what I already know to be. So I'm gonna be asking, I actually have the maps of the routes and everything else because that's just who I am. But so how do we do bulk with so few people right now? How do we do that? Are we like just doing that every other month?
We're basically just going into a route and we're just completing that route and then moving on to the next route.
Okay,
So
so
we're
you may
really
not get them once a month, you get them when you can get them. Is that it?
right now, that's what we're doing, yes.
Okay, I'm not gonna ask the Director of Streets any questions right now because I have a lot of people who want to ask questions. And I'm gonna start with, my Vice President, Brandon Bosley. And you can ask any of them, the Deputy Commissioner, the Director of Streets, or the Director of Operations. Do you have any questions? God, hello?
I do. Can you give me 1 second?
Sure.
Yes, ma'am. I'm
I can
trying to
give
get
you two.
my signal together. I appreciate it.
Okay, he was my hero when I was sick, and I don't know if you guys saw me when I fainted from the Zoom meeting. I want to say this young man sent the fire department out to my house and came in my house so fast it scared me. And I'm always very thankful because I didn't really know how sick I was. But Brandon Bosley reacted very, very responsibly. And then the fire chief came out, and I just wasn't having any of it, but I just really still want to thank him again because he is a very responsible young man.
I really appreciate that. You are awesome.
You want me to go to somebody else and come back to you?
Yes, ma'am. If you can.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
The next person is Alderman Vaccaro.
I do have questions.
And I want you all to know, because we had asked for Kent Flakes, he will be here next week, either voluntarily or with body attachment, okay?
I understand. So
Okay.
first off, I'm glad to know that we're picking trash up on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. In my neighborhood, it seems to be more of a crapshoot because it's the weekends, it's a Sunday, it's Brandy, I'm not blaming you for this, but what I guess I'm aggravated more than anything is I'm told, Joe, we're gonna have this done this week and we're gonna be in your neighborhood this weekend. And I put it out there because you say we're gonna be here. And then, I don't know, there's always an excuse why it doesn't happen or part of it doesn't happen. We're not getting good communication. The phone number to get a hold of Bethany or anybody is ridiculous. It tells me that I have to call the Citizen Service Bureau. What I want a workable number from Nancy Cross, Bethany, and Randy that I can pick up the phone and directly call you and get a hold of you. I had that with Todd. I had that with other directors. I want cell phone numbers that if I have something that's going on, I want answers. The people in my neighborhood deserve answers. And I'm tired and worn out that on an average day, I'm getting 30 plus phone calls. And Randy, you know, and Bethany, you know, because I try to include you and the mayor's office in all of this. Communication. I have people put your bulk out this week. I'm being told this weekend, we're going to get it. And I got stuff still sitting out there. I'm at the polls yesterday. And Randy, I sent you some of these pictures and emails while I'm standing there. I don't know if I sent it to you and Bethany. Dumpsters that are turned over still with big red X's on them. The one has hypodermic needles and stuff coming out of it. I mean, and I'm being told by these people that this has been months, not even days, not weeks, like they dumped this over last week. I'm being told this is months that these dumpsters. They're telling me I've called multiple times. I've turned in multiple CSB reports. And the only one that seems to be getting, I watch my language, but the only one that seems to be getting beat up over this is me and I guess the other older people. You know what? You guys put your cell phone number out there. Let people call you at midnight and say, well, it didn't happen, or when's it going to happen? I want your cell phone numbers. I won't give it out. But when I'm getting these calls in the middle of the night, I want a workable phone number. This phone number garbage that you got going on now, when you dial the street department number, we're sorry about the flood. And if you got a problem, call this department. You got a problem, call that department. That's not acceptable. You know, Randy, I know you're trying, and I can't say enough good things, and you're not paid for the job you're doing. You're doing the job as a commissioner, and you don't get paid as a commissioner. And I've been arguing that since forever. And you know, it seemed to me that they said, well, gee, we're going to get rid of Todd Walterman, and oh, everything will be solved. So I'll ask a few direct questions. Randy, is everything solved now? Am I to believe that everything is solved and the world is good and trash is being picked up on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday?
No, it's not all resolved.
Okay, what, Bethany, I mean, what about you? Is it resolved? Everything's good now since we got rid of Todd, and gee, life as we know it, everything's normal now?
So I will say that we have not got rid of Todd. That is a personnel issue that is currently being taken care of. And you're correct, everything has not been taken care of, and it was not all on him that for everything to be taken care of. What we have to understand is that we have a shortage of employees, and we're trying to figure out the best way to honor our commitment to the citizens with the number of people that we have. And some points that were brought up here about how do we strategize are really good points and discussions and conversations that I'm open to continuing those conversations. And Alderman Joe, I understand, that the calls that you're getting, we get them too, but we are doing our absolute best to send crews out when we can and stay to the schedule that is posted on the website and on the cans, the stickers that are on the cans as well.
Well, so what I get is that I understand the excuses, and Nancy, thank you for sending me your cell number. I get, but the people are tired of saying, look, service was better before we started charging them. People are saying, gee, we're charging them even more money and services are even getting worse. I don't even understand how we're able to charge for a service when we're not doing the service in a way that it's supposed to, what they're paying for. If you go into a repair shop and you get a tune-up on your car and we charge you for that tune-up on your car, but we say, well, we didn't have spark plugs, but we did put an air filter in and we are charging you for a whole tune-up. Would you accept that? Or you go to a car wash and you pay for a full car wash, but they only do half your car. And they said, well, we were kind of running out of water. Would you pay for the whole car wash and be happy? And would you, Bethany, I'm asking you this, but would you find it acceptable to pay for a service, a full service, and only get a partial service?
So I hear your question and I understand totally. No, I would not pay for half a car wash service. But it's important that we understand, and I think Chairman Tyus spoke earlier to the amount of the $14, $17 that we are paying for trash service does not completely go to the refuse department. And so because of that, we have to look at the total picture of what we're paying for the service. And so it's more than just the collection piece of it. It also includes our waste disposal piece of it that we're dealing with here.
And I understand that. And, and again, I believe this, I'm not really blaming this on you, Randy, or Nancy Cross. At the same time, I'm trying to get a point across, and also to the people that call and complain, and it seems to me, and I'm no attorney, so I don't know, but if we're collecting money for a service, and that's why we didn't have to go to the voters. We said, well, we can charge for a service. If we're collecting money for a service, you would think that money would have to be used for that service. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Alderwoman Tyus will figure that one out. But Bethany said, I need a cell phone number from you that I can actually call and get a hold of you. Nancy, thanks for sending it to me. Maybe I don't have a cell number for you that I know of.
So yeah, because we've sent those numbers out, and what I will have Mary do again is send a complete list of the entire street department, our contact numbers, because of where we're relocated, and my cell phone number to the entire Board of Aldermen. For the ones that don't have it or have misplaced the email, we will make sure that that information is sent out today.
Okay, the thing we got, at least the last one I got, had no cell numbers. It had numbers of how to get a hold of people, but it only goes to their voicemail that says, hello, this is, thank you for calling. If this is a, whatever called the Citizen Service Bureau at this number, and if that doesn't work, you can always, if you're Catholic, start a novena. And if that doesn't work, you can go directly to your local church, start praying. There's no end to the thing. And when you leave a message, you don't get a call back. I mean, it's frustrating, and I'm trying not to be mean-spirited in this. But
and I understand, oh, sorry for cutting you off, but I do understand your concern, and I have myself, as well as talked to the commissioners of this department, that it's our responsibility to respond to emails and conversations that we do have. My desk number goes straight to Mary, and she gives me pink slips with numbers to call back, and I call them back, when I get to them, and I call back every pink slip that I get. As well as, like I said, I felt that my email address or my personal cell phone number was shared with all of the Board of Aldermen because a number of you called me, but I will make sure that that is shared with you as soon as we get off this call.
Okay, and then Randy, if I know it's not absolutely possible, but if you could keep me at least on time, so if you're gonna do bulk pickup in the area, I'd like to know that. If a truck is broke down during that bulk pickup, if you could, I have a very wide e-blast goes to a bunch of people. If it's not gonna happen, I'd like to at least say, gee, they did have an issue today, don't call me, you don't have to call, that they are gonna handle this tomorrow. It seems to me that the bulk pickup is in a pickup truck. So you don't need a special driver's license for that. Andy, or do you have to have a chauffeur's license for the trucks?
Yeah, we pick up bulk and rear packer trucks, so that driver is required to have a CDL.
Is it? Okay. I'm not gonna harp on it anymore, but that if I have numbers, I can get a hold of people. And Randy, I sent you an email again today about over off of Leola. I'd be even happy to meet you over there. The dumpsters are flat, blocking the guy's garage. But what's interesting about those dumpsters on that particular street, there's only like 3 houses or 4 houses, and it's got like 6 or 7 dumpsters.
Okay, yeah, I'll check. Send me an email. I'll check that out myself today.
Well, I did send it.
Okay.
I mean, you should have it. I think if you doesn't call me, but you should have it. I sent it. I offered to even go over there, and maybe we can figure out, because I don't think it needs as many dumpsters in that small space as it already has. But that's
I'll check it out today for you, Alderman. I live right over there, so it's not a problem.
Okay, I appreciate. Just let me know what stuff's going on, and I really do need numbers that I can call people.
I'll send everybody our bulk schedule where we're at right now, so everybody has an idea.
But the thing, Randy, on the bulk schedule is you're not really able to do it.
No, it's not according to schedule. I'm just going to let everybody know where we are at presently.
Okay.
What meetings we're in.
Okay, no, I understand that. Anyway, again, Randy, I appreciate. I think everybody here does. You get all the guff, and you're doing the job as the commissioner, and you're not the commissioner, and I think that's unfair. And I think if you ever decide to sue the city for all the back pay they owe you, I will be the first one in court with you saying that, when you put people in a position acting, for a little while, a month or so, but you can't keep somebody as acting commissioner for years on end and say that they are the acting. Because in my opinion, you're it. You're going to get all the complaints and the calls. And I'm sorry, Bethany, did you have a question for me? You'd raise your hand. I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to make a statement. Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm listening.
Alderwoman Tyus is talking, but she's on mute.
Oh,
Okay, I was giving him a hard time to tell him he cannot be the chair of streets. He's the chair of public safety, but go ahead. I'm just giving him a hard time.
oh no, I didn't say it, did I? I'm talking about Rand.
That's okay, go ahead. You are recognized to answer or ask him a question or answer.
Okay, so no, I wanted to say, I think that from this conversation, what we will start doing is with our bulk pickup, if we know that we are a week behind, maybe if we can send an email, if you all will be okay with us sending an email to the Board of Aldermen to say we're on route this and ward this week. We're anticipated to be on the next route within the next 3 to 5 days or the next week, or we had a breakdown and we're still working in this ward, or it was over quantity than what we thought. And so we've had to spend more time in this ward. And so where we're saying to alders that call us or email us about their bulk pickup, we're saying next week, we're anticipating to get there, but we're finding challenges in the areas that we are currently working. And so it may take longer than that. And so I understand and I respect the fact that you're sharing the information that we're giving you as an alderperson. And so maybe on a weekly basis, if we could start sending out an update of our bulk pickup, because it's not on the traditional schedule right now because of the number of crews that we have. As Randy stated, we literally have 3 crews or 4 crews a day that's picking up across the whole city. So if that's something that will help out until we can correct this labor shortage issue, then we are willing to do that.
I'll include that with my Friday report to you, Bethany.
That's
Every week.
perfect.
And I appreciate that. And the other thing I'm just gonna mention, and then I'll move on. You know, since the recycle and the grass and the trash aren't getting picked up like they should or regularly, what I can tell you is, and I can walk up and down my alley now, people are throwing in whatever bin looks to be the emptiest. So if anybody really believes that recycling's happening, just walk down the alleys and look in any bin. I mean, there's trash, grass, everything in the bins. I don't know if we should just do a neighborhood sweep and just pick everything up. I know it's not what everybody would want to hear. And again, start fresh, because I guess we'll eventually get, I guess it's after the first snow, we quit picking up the grass, or we have a hard date on that one.
It's pretty much weather dependent.
So, you know, I know that'll eliminate one pickup, but I almost think we should do a sweep through and just, you know, get everything picked up and get a good fresh start. You know, I still feel like we should have just either outsource the recycling or have recycling sites. And we had talked about that before, and it would certainly, I think, make some sense. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be done with questions, and I'm going to listen to all the answers.
Okay. Dr. Cross, you had your hand up to reply to something?
Yes, please. So Alderman Vaccaro, when we stopped the recycling last summer, part of the reason that we did that was to get a clean sweep and pick up everything. We, as Randy mentioned, have 55 routes per day, and we only have in the mid-30s of drivers. We are using Slate and a number of other opportunities to bring more people in, but we have to have people with CDL licenses to have the trucks to be driven. We've increased, we had mechanics come in and work a second shift to get more trucks. So he has trucks now. Now he just needs bodies to drive the trucks. So that's one of our concerns, is that we don't have enough people. We don't have 55 people to send out in trucks every day, which he's given you the minimum. We have to have at least 5. We probably need at least 60, 65 people, because we have people that go on vacation, have family medical leave, have emergencies happen. So we have to be able to account for that and cover the 55 routes. So now we have more trucks. We don't have bodies in the trucks. So that's what we're trying to work to. And we are still trying to do that. As far as outsourcing, the difficulty with that is that the drivers are represented by AFSCME, and we're in bargaining with them now. We have a meeting on Monday about their wages and trying to increase, we have bargaining with them, which we use a closed situation, but we're bargaining with them, but they represent the drivers, so we can't unilaterally start outsourcing parts of the work when we have a represented labor force. But we're also asking for them to try and help us find people that they may know who want to drive, because sometimes they know people and they don't think about it. But if we remind them. That's what we're trying to do, to try to get to at least 55 or 60 people. And then we would be able to do what you're doing much easier and more efficiently on a regular basis. It would hopefully end a lot of the calls that you are getting as well as us. So
Thank you. No, I understand. And I guess I didn't understand the union part because I was gonna say, I have a Class A driver's license and I'd be happy to drive the truck if you need me. On the day I'm not doing anything, if I have nothing else going on, but I.
you'd have to go through a civil service process.
No, I
Unless
don't.
there's
Well,
a reason
I was-
legally not, then I'm not holding you out.
I was talking as a volunteer. I have an over-the-road truck driving license. I was as a volunteer.
There's no
I have
working
a-
for free.
But with the union issues, I understand. Thank you. I'm gonna mute myself here.
Alderman Bosley, are you prepared or should I go to the next person?
Next person, I'll be prepared in just a second.
Okay, well, no. The next person is Alderwoman Carol Howard.
Good morning. And first off, I'd like to thank Randy for his attentiveness to trying to resolve the trash situation. As the other alderman before me mentioned, this is a situation that we deal with every day. And I feel sometimes as though I'm perpetrating a fraud here. People are paying for a service they're not getting, and it's sad. It's embarrassing. And I understand the root cause is personnel. We don't have enough people to drive the trucks. I know there was a bounty offered for people signing on. Apparently that didn't work too well. What is it that we're going to do to entice these people and pay them well to get them here at the city and continue to work with them? And I don't know if that's a question for Ms. Cross or for Ms. Williams, but somebody needs to have a plan here, and it's just not working. I mean, this isn't the only that we're back on. And I'm not going to, belabor the issue of the trash problems we have. People are paying for a service. It used to be, in my neighborhood, Monday, Thursday was trash pickup. And people don't know anymore. The trash, and I understand it's the north side, south side, wherever you go, there is people dumping, or they can't get it in the trash can because the trash can's overloaded. Last weekend I came out, one of my trash cans behind my house was piled up so high that they couldn't close the lid. So I guess, what are we doing to get to the root cause and hire enough workers? I mean, there doesn't seem to be a sense of urgency here. I guess that's what I'm missing. There is no sense of urgency, and it's sad that people are not getting what they're paying for.
So do you want me to start, Director Williams?
Yes. I mean, whoever has the answer, or whoever can respond to this.
I think I can give you an overview that during the pandemic, there was something issued someplace. I don't know if it was an official order or what by the prior administration, where they were only going to replace essential personnel. And for whatever reason, they did not consider most of the service workers that we have in the city as essential personnel, that they should have continued to hire during the pandemic, so that when the pandemic lifted out to some degree, there would be enough people on staff. When we came in, they were already short-staffed. There was 1,000 vacancies in the city. We still have a large number of vacancies. To deal with the refuse situation, we did offer a bonus for people to come and go through the system. And I think we've had a few people train in and stay and are reaching the bonus point, but many people came and that's not what they wanted to do. So we tried to transfer them to other positions in the city. Simultaneously, we've had a number of job fairs in making personnel attend those with us as well. So you could fill out an application, not hear about a job and then try to do the application. And there's a big mess because nothing ever got done. And Slate has been instrumental, as well as Fathers and Sons initially gave us a number of applicants, and some of them I think are still working. But Slate has been instrumental in trying to get us large amounts of people who are interested in coming to work and offering a CDL program at the same time. We are hopeful that this second piece I'm going to tell you about begins to open up and not be as problematic, but all of those applicants that Slate had would go into the personnel office, and out of, I think it was 155, they only certified 20 or so people. That's insane. So we are getting to the root of that issue and trying to figure out how we could have 155 people fill out the paperwork necessary and still only end up with 20 being truly eligible to take the positions, given the situation we're in. There are job fairs happening over the next, I think it's every Friday, Mondays, I guess, that are posted around the city hall, but also Slate is doing some more interviews. So, and we're trying to get some funds for them to continue to train people, so that we would be able to pick people to come in and do a CDL. And we're bargaining with ASME to finish their contract, which also will help us move the current staff and people up and then offer a better salary to start. So that's where we are now. There is a sense of urgency. The difficulty is that we're not always able to control the application process to move people in, because that's been so separate from the city as personnel. So we're hoping that they now begin to see a sense of urgency to get this done as well. So I don't know if you want to add, Director Williams.
No, I think that hit it right, the nail on the head, with the CDL drivers. Slate currently is doing the 100 CDLs in 100 days. And as Nancy spoke of, I just submitted another letter to them for a letter of support to get more funding to continue the CDL training past the 100 drivers that they're getting in. We are also looking at how do we make sure citizens are aware of the city's second chance law, that we will give you a second chance to come and work for the city of St. Louis. We're just looking for good public servants that we can train. So we understand the urgency, and we are doing everything we can to get people in the door.
So how many drivers are we down? How many workers are we down? Drivers or otherwise in the refuse department?
So we normally have about, and Randy, you can tell me for sure, but I feel like we had 75 to 80 drivers on the TO. And so currently we have like 50 refuge drivers. And Randy, you can tell me day to day, because he deals with the day to day of it.
Right now, we have 21 HEO2 vacancies. We have 69 authorized positions and 21 of those are vacant. That's for trash truck drivers.
So has it changed? I mean, in the past 6 months, were you able to hire any? Say since April, have you been able to hire any?
Yeah, we've actually, our HEO2 lists have gotten a little better. We're actually getting 5 or 6 names on the list now. So I just signed a rec yesterday for 2 drivers.
Okay.
We're having a really hard time getting those drivers and a really hard time getting utility workers for my bulk operation. Those are the 2 big vacancies in my department: utility workers and heavy equipment operators.
Okay. Is the pay competitive?
With the private industries?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not.
So are we doing anything to address that, Ms. Cross?
Yes, we will be meeting with ASME again on Monday. Hopefully that will
But
get
AFSCME doesn't
a
write
resolution.
people.
I'm sorry?
AFSCME doesn't pay these people.
No, but we have to
That's the
bargain the
negotiation.
wage. We have to bargain the compensation and wages with the union, and we're meeting with them on Monday.
That's correct.
I understand that we put money aside to pay these people more so that we can get them to work for us.
I missed the beginning part. Are you asking me a question on
I'm
that?
asking has the administration put money aside to elevate the pay of these employees so that we can recruit more of them and retain more of them?
Yes, but we had to get the union to the bargaining table to have that discussion, and that is now scheduled for Monday.
I understand that, but I just wanted to know that, you know, if we're not paying people enough, it doesn't matter, you know, I mean, whoever you're negotiating, it doesn't matter. If we can't deliver a paycheck to people that's a fair wage, it doesn't do any good. So, anyway, so that's what you're working on. Okay,
So-
when do we anticipate that we could get back to a regular schedule for bulk trash and yard waste pickup? I'm not even gonna worry about the recycling. I mean, I think that the best idea to that is let people take their recycling to a central location. Because as we all know, the recycling, you open the lid and as somebody mentioned, there's tires and everything else in there besides what needs to go in there. And I've lost track, and we need a big education program. And I think Ms. Williams addressed that earlier, to educate people on the recycling situation. So when do we anticipate we can get back to a regular schedule? Because I just feel like people are beside themselves. They put the trash out there, it gets picked up, it doesn't get picked up, the bulk gets picked up, maybe it doesn't, then it's weighted down with water. It's just so willy-nilly and so unacceptable. When can we get back to a regular schedule?
Not until I can get enough workers.
The ugly truth. Do you
So-
mind if Ms. Williams answers the question, Alderwoman Howard?
No, I'm open to whoever has the knowledge, I'm fine with that, yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Director Williams.
So we are currently trying to figure out if we never get back to full capacity, what do we do? It's a service that has to be provided, and it is something that we have to do. We're just trying to figure out and evaluate where our dumpsters are. How do we conduct this business with the number of people we have? And I say to Randy and the team all the time, what if we never get back to full capacity? What do we do? You know, and so right now we're just trying to set priorities that we can say, we want all of the solid waste picked up across the city. And, you know, how do we get to this? And so the main thing is we start working with the fleet. We had a problem with our fleet. It flip-flops. We were able to get a second contract with the maintenance workers to come in and work on our fleet at night. Now our fleet is more in a healthier state, and it's the employees that we have. And I think that we're doing, the root of the issue is pay. And we're working with the union to figure out how do we bargain and how do we get to a place where we can retain our employees? How can we keep them in and give them an environment that they want to work in every day? So it's a couple things that we're trying to do here to figure out. My thing is, if we never get back to full capacity, how do we honor our commitment? And so that's what we're trying to determine. How do we do that, but keep the operations going as well? And I know it's frustrating. I know it is, because it's very frustrating for me. It's frustrating for Nancy. It's frustrating for Randy. And, you know, everyone it's frustrating for. And the calls don't stop, but what do we do? And so it is a priority to collect all of the solid waste across the city of St. Louis on a weekly basis. And that's what we're trying to do, working 7 days a week, trying to honor our commitment to the citizens.
I get what you're saying, but it's just, it's a sad state that our city's in with this. So anyway, thank you so much for your time. And Randy and all of you, I appreciate all your input on this, and hopefully we can find a solution sooner rather than later. Because I really think our city is in a crisis mode when it comes to this collection everywhere on all corners. People are getting tired of it. They're getting tired of paying for a service they're not getting in the agreement they agreed to. So thank you so much.
Alderman Bosley, should we go to the next one?
Yes, ma'am. So
I-
that's it. Thank you, and I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody being there in the discussion. As far as us being at full capacity, and this is a question for anyone who can answer it. Probably would be Mr. Brainfield. When was the last time that you remember us being at full capacity?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. Long before COVID, that's for sure.
I guess when that was happening, do you feel like these same particular calls or the amount of calls that we get now for trash collection was something that also was happening, back then? Sometimes when things are functioning correctly, we still are in need of more trash collectors or more at that time where we're under-resourced and feeling under-resourced. And then when we get really, really under-resourced, then it's like we just want to get back to a sense of normalcy. But at that time, was it normal to have people on, a regular basis still complaining about trash pickup when we were at full capacity, if you can remember back then?
Oh, I mean, everything seemed like it was rolling good until, the COVID thing hit. Ever since then, it just seems like we just lost a lot of employees, or never could retain employees, or never could get any employees. But
Okay.
pre-COVID, everything seemed like it was running fine.
Okay, and would you say that also is germane to like bulk pickup with not trash, but as far as dumping and the illegal dumping as well?
I would say that across the board for sure, Brandon.
Okay. So I would say if we have individuals that have been here for a little bit of time and they know for sure what it feels like to actually be at capacity and work in a way where we don't have this as much of an issue as it is right now. And one of our issues pre-COVID in as far as getting employees wasn't an issue as it is post-COVID. I would say with everything that's changing right now, we have a new director there and she's not here today as far as the director of personnel, who would be able to better answer the question, because, one of the issues we've been having over the last few years is when we all get to the table, there is an idea that individuals who are signing up to become city employees aren't really getting to the departments that they'd like to eventually be a part of, and you all weren't getting the information from the Department of Personnel. And that was going, kind of going back and forth. We had a bunch of meetings about that. For those individuals who aren't familiar, you can go back and kind of research the history on it. So, the thought would be with a new director and us being short maybe only 22 positions, if that's what I heard correctly. Did you short 22, right?
22, yeah, that's for my trash truck drivers, 21 positions short.
So, if that's the case, it would seem with this new individual whom we do have, let's have some conversation to see what her plan is in particular, to move and fast track our hiring process, because we know that also has been a problem, an issue within the city. People do sign up and then it takes months and months for folks to get an interview, or you immediately get a letter back saying that you weren't qualified. And there were problems and issues with that prior to this new director getting in there. We talked to the last director as well. If you had something that wasn't corrected or completely filled out on your application, there were certain things that would got you immediately sent a letter saying that you were unqualified or the city didn't pick you. I forgot exactly what the language was. Those things were talked about and worked on to some degree with the prior director. But I do believe that that's something that we also really need to pay attention to. If we did have something functioning and the functionality was based on the manpower that we have, and the only thing we seem to be missing right now is manpower. I know the idea is to figure out what we're going to do in the meantime without having the manpower, but if our whole goal is to increase population within the city and increase the amount of jobs that we can have and provide for city residents as well, then it'd be with our best interest to try to figure out how to increase that and really focus on that piece to give all those individuals who have been working for refuse, even if we have to contract out services. It's one of the same things that we do see right now. We contract out services for other things, like for the dumpsters right now that are being put together. those folks used to put together dumpsters, and now they're watching individuals make more than them go out and put the dumpsters out after they built them within our city's refuse department. So, so with that being said, if we can find money to contract our services, if those are the things that we're thinking about, I think it also be important to find out what it is it takes to utilize that same dollar amount to increase, giving the individuals who are already working for us the tools that they need, because some of them talk about as well, we don't have enough mechanics. If that is, also, which I've witnessed, I believe, if you could validate that, Mr. Brennefield, that the mechanics are an issue.
Mechanics, I really can't speak on their part. I know they were hurting a little bit like us. I really can't speak on their part. I'm not sure.
Understood. Well, when we talk to folks throughout the refuse department, especially those that are, picking up the trash and things like that, we talk about trash trucks being down. There's a reason why those trash trucks are down, of course. So, and we talk about, hiring and the increase in everybody's pay. That also is a thing with the mechanics as well, not having enough mechanics. That's the same problem that also is a problem, I believe, with the police department's vehicles as well, as not having mechanics. So, with all of these different things that we're thinking about changing and at some point in time contracting, I just want us to be extremely cognizant about our employees that are working here currently. Whenever we contract our services, it seems like those people get paid more than the people that we're actually paying to do the job. And that's completely unfair as well. So, with that, if there was a time where we are working at capacity and things were great, let's figure out what it really takes for us to get the people who are there now, what it is that they need to be compensated on at least an average level, and work to get some sort of a scale for the new 22 employees that we need to hire, because I myself have sent individuals who are qualified and have worked and do have the qualifications to become trash truck drivers, and they themselves have been on some sort of a list for over 2 or 3 months. And I've also talked to Mr. Brennefield, which he waits for the personnel department to send up individuals who can be validated. Is that the correct language?
Yeah, I mean, what we did in the street department, we talked about this a while ago. We want personnel just to send us all the applications to let us go through them. We can weed out the ones we can help. If they don't have it, maybe they just forgot to put their driver's license number on there. Who knows? But we'd like to make that call versus having personnel just discard that application.
Understood. And that's why it's a good reason to possibly have personnel, I guess our next discussion, at the table, or in an email, since we have a new director there. So, these are the different discussions, once again, that these departments are continuing to have. You yourself, once again, have been on multiple calls, and folks don't always feel like they're getting the, an equal opportunity to look at the candidates who could potentially be working for them. And they get kicked out based on minor things, once again, like maybe not having a driver's license available at that time, or once again, not filling out complete questions. So if, like I know we have people waiting in the queue, I think that's something that we need to look at, because we may be able to get back to capacity quicker than we actually think. Maybe we need to ask the director of personnel now, how many applicants have we had over the last maybe 60 days, and look into how many of those people are actually qualified and maybe have been kicked out for minor things since we've been going through this new transition. Because I've also heard, if this is not correct, please correct me, that we've been going through a new system, and there's also been, and Ms. Cross, you can probably answer this question for me. We've been going through some new system. Has that also been holding up the process of hiring employees?
Not for the right reasons, but yes, we are moving to a new system, and one or two people are dedicated to working on that, but it's, there are a number of people that could work on the issue, and Randy's idea of give us the applications and let us weed people out would make sense. I think there are a couple of other departments that would like to do that too. And that would be helpful because that will help people move faster through the system. Because the people that
That's
do the
great.
work are better equipped to say who should be we hire to do the work. So
That's right. Do you know how many people have applied for refuge over the last maybe 30 to 60 days? Let's say the last 90 days. I know Alderwoman, I believe Murphy, asked since April.
no, but we will get that information based on Alderwoman Howard asking for that, and also follow up to our discussion about Slate and the amount of people that they were moving, because not everybody's going to be a truck driver, but people could be utility workers, which would help Randy with the bulk work as well. He also needs people to pick things up, not just drive trucks. So, yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So I appreciate that. Have we made any efforts since we found out over the last, I would say, year there that we were having issues and problems with the application process? Folks were filling things out maybe incorrectly or having blank spots and needed to go back to the table. We weren't responding back to them. I remember previous conversation, Todd Walterman was there. There was Jared Boyd, the previous director, Franks, there in the conversation, and there was some efforts being made through his notes to have someone calling back those individuals who have small problems or unfilled in information there on their application, so we could, make sure they aren't getting that just mandatory exclusion based on having an incomplete job application that they're supposed to call folks back.
If you're addressing it to me, I'm not sure that that was implemented because Director Franks left shortly thereafter. But I know that Director Moten had sent out a letter to all of the cabinet leaders saying, look at these applications and make sure that the minimum requirements that are listed here actually fit the positions that you need, because no one has actually looked at what they're asking for minimum qualifications. Life has changed and we're asking for things from the 60s and 70s, or maybe the 80s and 90s that don't really apply at this point. And I know that we were able with some of the departments to do what Randy is expressing, which is give the applications to the director. There's a probationary period. It's called something else. Let me bring in as many people as I can. And then I'll weed them out as I go, because even if they went through we'll do it in conjunction with the civil service rules, but we can put more people on and try them. And some people do better working than filling out paperwork. And then the second thing that Director Williams raised is that there's a second chance opportunity in the city that had not been implemented, but is starting to be implemented now, where you could have a second chance to apply and come back. They used to have a long waiting period if you didn't do it in a timely fashion. Some of the things that were done years ago made sense then, they don't make sense now, given the labor market and the shortage of labor people. So.
So I appreciate that. I don't have any further questions. I just supposed to comment. I do appreciate, once again, Mr. Brinfield, you always are very responsive whenever we do have a lot of things going on. I know we're trying to figure out how to get the regular things done, but when we do have things that need to be done immediately, you most certainly answer the call. So, I most certainly appreciate you being available. And as far as Ms. Williams, I know some of us haven't, maybe have gotten the number before, but she has helped out with a few things going on with the elderly in the ward. And I like to, when folks are doing, particular things that, we can be appreciative of. I do appreciate you responding to help, some of our elderly out, being newly appointed there in your position. So, but I do understand us needing the communication back and forth a lot. As soon as we pick something up, folks dump it right back down. Of course, you all know that information. So, and I don't think any of us are not trying to figure out how to get to the same place. But I do want to caution us, and I'm continuing to kind of hear this same thing about the contracting process. If we can pay people to contract out services, our our people who are employed are like watching that, and they feel some type of way that we can pay for a higher service to get done when they're sitting here begging for, well, not begging, they're sitting here deserving a raise and asking for better tools as well to do a 2 and 3 man job. So with that, once again, I appreciate everybody. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. I see your hand, Alderwoman Evans, but we go in seniority here. So you don't have to put your hand up because I'll let you speak when all the members of the committee have spoken first. Director Williams, you had a response?
Yes, I just wanted to add that Alderman Bosley, I've heard the call of employees when they talk about tools and things that they need, getting them secondhand. And I've started that process with facilities as we purchase new equipment. They're getting their share of new equipment, holding them accountable for the equipment that they have and utilizing it. So in conversations that I've had with employees over the year that I've been in this role, we have started making some of those changes. As well as we talked about, we're in negotiations once again to look at the pay for the current employees. And they've raised the fact of contracts, and I'm watching someone make more than what I make and they're doing the same job, or I can do the job. And I give them those opportunities to say to me and to Randy, how can you do this? Tell me the people that can do this job and continue to get the other jobs and the other functions of this department done that we need. So we are listening to the employees, and the contracts that we're doing, they're short-term contracts, because I do believe that one day our services and our employees will be able to resume taking those actions and covering those actions for the city.
Okay, thank you. Alderwoman Boyd.
Yes, ma'am. And thank you all for coming. And I guess my concern, and I had spoke to Bethany about this, because as a previous manager with a corporation, I'm watching how we're doing our employees in regards to city employees. And I've said it continuously, and I told Bethany this. I just think we are horrible employers, because we are not looking at our employees and how we are treating them in regards to their salaries and in regards to being treated on their jobs. And so I had suggested, because I was concerned when they came up with the $3,000 bonus if you would work. And I just felt that was not fair across the board. And so what I found out was a lot of the employees did not manage to go through that 90-day process. So they didn't get the bonus. And me and Bethany did talk about that. But I said, so why couldn't you take those dollars that you would use for all these people you had slotted to hire and go across the board to raise those refuse drivers' pay? So it could be an equal across the board for those people, because you got the money sitting there and we're not compensating our employees. And I keep saying this, and I said, maybe one day somebody is going to listen. When you have city employees that's going to pantries, getting energy assistance, home mortgage assistance, or rental assistance, that's kind of sad reflection of us as a city. Because I remember the days when people ran to work for the city. It was an honor to be a city employee and work for the city of St. Louis. And so, respectively, Randy has said that we didn't come into this struggle in regards to the trash pickup until the pandemic. And so I respectively disagree. I think it was a problem there, and it was like it was a snake head peeping up, and certain communities weren't getting their trash picked up. It just wasn't. It was certain communities you could not even go through the alley. This was pre-pandemic.
Yep.
And so when the pandemic came, it just exposed it even more. So a lot of things were exposed in regards to the city as being divided, where certain communities did not get services. And so Nancy and a lot of the staff can relate, because we tackled 4 blocks in North St. Louis where the alleys were so bad, we had to have the street sweepers come after they pulled the dumpsters, cleaned them and emptied them, and they had to sweep the alley to get it back to the original site, because the trash had been compacted in the ground so hard that you just couldn't do it with a normal cleanup. So let's just be real when we talk about issues that's with the trash department. It's not a reflection, as the older people said to Randy, it's a reflection to us as a city. And I'm not saying it's this administration, I'm saying administrations prior to this administration. And so that's why I'm saying it's the snake that raised their head. It happens for 16 years, then it happened for 4 more years. And so now you all are left with trying to clean a mess up. And it's really a health disaster that we're in, because I still have areas that you cannot, the dumpsters can't, the trucks can't get through because of the garbage and stuff on the ground. Beside people throwing stuff out there and people dumping, I have neighborhoods now that are starting to see rodents that they never saw before because of this trash issue that we're in. So all I'm asking is, and I think me and Bethany did talk about it, I was one of the older people that went down to Refuge. I sat in the warehouse. I walked through, I saw the conditions they were working in. I saw the dollars. You know, I heard them saying how one person was doing one job and another person doing the same job, but getting paid more than the other person. That's discrimination. I don't care how you look at it, that's discrimination, and that's unfair. The staff feel that when Nick Young was there, it was totally different. They were treated totally better. When Todd came in, it was a total turnaround. And so when I walked in there and saw all these new dumpsters, and I kept saying, why we got all these new dumpsters and they not out on the street? Well, the contractors. So to me, that's another slap in the face to the employees, when you could have had the employees put them out, and they might not have the big enough truck to take more dumpsters, but at least you would have let the employees know. So I just want people to realize this problem has been poking their head up for a while, and we have been talking about it. I'm telling you, it just didn't happen 2 years ago. It'd been happening for years. It was constantly building up. And now as the people say, the boo-boo hit the fan. Now it's done hit the fan, and it's a big issue. So I just hope that you all communicate with the employees. I know Randy talks to his guys, he ladies, and he tries to, get an understanding. But Bethany and Nancy, I know you saying you talking to the unions, but talk to the employees and see what the employees want. Because, I have a problem with somebody trying to talk for me and haven't talked to me to see what I want. And so I just think it's fair to those ladies and gentlemen to give them what they need. Because I'm telling you, when Ty was there and we had the pandemic, they were calling me, they didn't have the gowns, they didn't have the masks, they didn't have what they were supposed to have to go into these alleys to pick this stuff up. That's a health disaster. We're setting our employees up. So all I'm asking you all is just please take in consideration of these employees, and they are critical to us, because without them, it will be much worse than what it is. So that's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Okay. Who's still here on the committee? Alderwoman Peel, who's here? I see both of them have left. Okay, so Alderman Gunther, did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, just listening.
Okay. Alderwoman Middlebrook. Oh, I'm sorry. Alderwoman Ingrassi. I'm so sorry. You've been here since the beginning. I can't hear
Excuse
you.
me.
There. Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, now I can. I'll come back to you because I couldn't see you. Okay, right. Go ahead, Alderwoman Ingrassi.
I just wanted to say thank you for the conversation this morning. I think it's an important one. And I also just wanted to echo the thanks to Randy Breitenfeld. He is incredibly responsive, always helpful, and completely overworked. And I know he's not here, but I would say the same for Zach Fortune. And I've had an incredible amount of trouble trying to get responses from other individuals in the streets department. I don't have any questions. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Okay. I'm sorry, Alderwoman from the 17th. I was looking for you. I didn't see you. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to thank the refuse drivers. I toured the facility about 2 months ago, and I rode the trucks, the bulk trucks, and it was incredible to see what they were doing. We all should be praising what they do. It's a very difficult job, especially bulk truck. What I saw was the lifting of these large objects in and out, and the dangers that they face in terms of having backaches, et cetera. And also, they mentioned, and I was riding in the truck, the vibrations and the bouncing of the seats and being in there. And it's really a very physical, you wouldn't think so, but just sitting in the cab is very physical on your body. And they said that going in and out of the truck was one of the most extraneous things that they do in terms of their job, because that step up, that is a huge step up. So anyways, it's like, it's a workout. It's a workout. Also, what I saw is that there is so much skill needed to drive these trucks, especially if you don't have a rear view mirror. I mean, we were inches away from some of the buildings when we're driving in the alleys because it was just so narrow. And like the mirrors were just like centimeters away. So I just like to say that this is a very skilled job in terms of, it's not just picking up the material. The driving is incredible. And the fact that they have to have so much focus, because these trucks are so hard to drive. I would never want to be a new driver. The questions I have are, let's see. Ms. Cross, what I'd like to ask you is, when you are done with the bargaining, will we be able to get the salary range, what the changes are, when the bargaining is over? Will you be sending that out?
You will be able to see that after they approve their increases. And if there's anything that has to come before the Board of Alder people, depending on how we nuance the increases, we will be talking with Alderman Bosley about how to get that before you at that time. So it sounds convoluted. We're trying to figure out how to do increases during mid-year, not just wait till next July. So we have a plan, and yeah, I guess the short answer is yes.
Okay.
Their workers have to vote for what we propose.
Great, thank you. I just mentioned that because sometimes we're left out of the loop when things happen. I just want to make sure that we get that information whenever it's done. I'm not, there's nothing about time. It's making sure that we get the information regarding what the pay is. And so we could better understand, hopefully, we will get more drivers. So thank you. My next question is, or actually, I just want to say in terms of Randy and the idea, or not even the idea, having more departments be able to look at those applications, because they just know what they really need. And so having them at least get a first look at the applications too, and, have the personnel department also be involved. But I think that sometimes throwing out an application in a department from the personnel department, the refuse department will have more knowledge to say, okay, there's an exception here. So I hope that would happen. And then the third thing is, Chairwoman Tyus, will we be speaking to the personnel director?
Well, that is actually, I can do it. And I'm the vice chair of the personnel committee. So I'll work with Alderman from the 3rd, who is the chair. We'll do something. Maybe we'll have a joint meeting. Okay. Do you need something specifically from her?
Well, I liked your question. We could take it offline and she could email us. I think it was your question regarding, what are her ideas? That's what I would like to, that's my question, is what are her ideas in terms of increasing the staffing, which is so difficult. I mean, it's difficult around the nation. So I just would like to have that conversation about her ideas. So it could be just an email.
No, I think it's better to come so people can hear. And I'll ask Alderman Bosley if we can just have a joint meeting, okay? Because it's streets and it is personnel. So, and we'll see what he says, okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Anything else?
No, thank you. Yeah,
All
thanks.
right. Alderman Page, you've been here for a long time.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. This and members of the committee, this has been an eye-opening discussion and one I think that is much needed. Most of the things that came to mind, such as ways or plans of increasing employee freeze, addressing the possibility of contracting work out and what the challenges of that may be, have already been addressed. So I don't have any other questions at this time, but I want to make it clear that I'm looking forward to future discussions on other bodies of work that the Streets Department has within their portfolio. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderwoman from the 17th, if you would lower your hand, please. Alderwoman Middlebrook. Wait, did she just leave? Oh, there
No, I'm here. Thank you, Madam Chair.
See, when I looked at you, were down there. Alderwoman from the 17th, please lower your hand. Thank you. Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A comment. I want to thank you for having this conversation, and I appreciate your teachable moments. I'm always learning something, and your advice is just, I don't have to fall face flat on the ground because you've been there and done that. So I can take what you've taught me and with the advice that you give, learn from it and apply it. So thank you very much. And I want to tell Randy, thank you, because he's on my emails. I mean, and he gets the job done. So I appreciate you, Randy. Thank you very much. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you. And I want to just say to the second ward, so I'm going to use your term about receipts. Alderwoman Tyus keeps receipts. We didn't call them receipts, but we call them proof of what happened. So I like your term about it. When I come with receipts. That's why I tell people, if you clap at me, then you'll be surprised how I clap back, okay? So it's always better pick up that telephone and talk to me, and then we can work things out, okay? We do not have to have a fight, but if you bring me to the fight, I will come. And I will bring all my receipts. Some you didn't even want to know that I had, okay? So I appreciate you. Let's see, Alderwoman from the 4th.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to make a comment about something that Alderman Bosley said, and this was dealing with the Director of Personnel. I just wanted to ask, how long do you keep an applicant's application on file? And do you communicate with that applicant what caused the application to be thrown out?
Okay, we don't have a Director of Personnel on right now. So the question maybe would be to Director of Operations or Director of Streets. Once personnel weeds out and says, do they send you a list of who's eligible to be hired, and then do you make that decision? Director of Streets, is that what happens?
Yes, so they send us, we request, we put a rec in, and they send us the eligible candidates for whatever job we're trying to fill.
And how long do you keep it?
So we have, I think it's 2 weeks that we have to interview the person or the people or contact them to say you haven't been selected or whatever. But I think it's a 2-week period that I have to, or we have to turn that around, that list that we get.
And then do you keep the other people on, the ones that don't make it, but were in that list, do you keep them on file for a certain amount of time?
So yes, the paperwork that we return to personnel, it has different coding that we put on it. If the person says, remove me from the list, then we code that. If the person says, I'm no longer interested in the position, but maybe at a later date, I'll be interested in the position, we have a code for that. Or if, you weren't selected, but they say, keep me on the list for future jobs in this title, then you stay on the list as well. So all of that information, once we do the interviews, it goes back to personnel with the coding of how people have identified if they want to stay on the list or not.
Do you know how long though they stay on the list? I think that was the Alderwoman's question.
That I
have to talk to
don't know.
personnel.
Yeah, that's a personnel question. Yeah, I don't know the answer.
Okay, go on, Alderwoman. I'm sorry.
And also, do you talk with former applicants as to what caused their application not to get chosen?
So currently, no, we don't. Only people we get and we see are the ones that personnel have approved for us to move forward with the interview process for different positions. And that's the discussions that we've had with personnel. How do we get to that place where we can see the applications before they're rejected or they issue a letter to the candidate or the interest person to say, we don't have a spot for you, or your application was incomplete, and to be honest with you, I don't know what the letter from personnel says. That's a personnel question that you can ask, but we only see the ones that they meet the qualifications for the position, and we communicate with them. But to answer the question, we have started the conversation with personnel. Can we see the applications before you turn them down? Because as Director Cross has said, in some cases, you may not qualify for HEO2, but you may qualify for HEO1, or you may qualify for a utility worker. And so knowing that we have other vacancies, that is the reason, the holistic reason of why we want to see those applications, because you may not qualify for one, but if you're willing to do this work, we may have other work for you. And we just haven't got to that place of seeing those applications prior to, but that is a discussion we've had with personnel.
Okay, I appreciate that response because, I'm looking at the positions that you guys are in a shortage of, and I'm just saying, if you talk with the applicant, like you said, maybe they will fit another position that you guys have open. So that was my concern. You've got people that are applying, but you still have 21 positions short in trash and transportation. But anyway, hopefully the applicants won't give up, and you'll be able to maybe utilize their skills in another part of that area. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Anybody, let's see, any other person that has not been able to ask a question? Okay, I got everybody. I have a question about this returning of phone calls. And so I'm going to talk to you, the director. You are, when I look at you, I see my nieces. I have 4 nieces and a nephew. My nephew, all my nieces know my nephew is the favorite of all. I'm a sexist, okay, because I only have one, but they're all in their 30s. Yes, he is. He knows he is. They're in their 30s. And when I call them, they don't answer the phone. And then I turn right around and text them. And amazing, they text me right back.
Oh, yeah.
And so I tell them all the time, if you're texting me back right back, that means you had your telephone right in your little hand. And I know you are a different generation that doesn't like to talk. I'm not even gonna ask you if you call people back or not. I'm gonna say that I heard that you do not. And also who is famous for this is Kent Flakes. And the former sheriff of streets, he talked about it all the time. I've been knowing for a long time. And so I don't know if part of the problem is that you guys use your personal cell phones. And so I'm thinking that instead of them having to give out their personal cell phones, we need to give them business cell phones so that, because that's hard to have your personal cell phone out like that. I have mine out now 30-something years. So my doctor, since I've been sick, I got to get another telephone because they can't get to me. Well, I'm on my chart, so that helps. But they can't call me because everybody in my ward been calling me for 30 years on this phone. So they're like, hey, this is our phone, okay? So I'm just suggesting that the people in your departments, that we get some professional phones for cell phones, and they should not have to give out their personal phones. And if they have, that they get another phone, because you need to keep your personal life personal. And I don't, even though I raise a lot of heck, I don't like to call people on their personal phones, and I don't call you a lot on evenings or weekends or whatever. So I just think we should get them cell phones for a department, okay? So that's my suggestion. And I'm gonna say to you, return the phone calls. And I'm gonna say to Mr. Flake, I know you don't return the phone calls, so return the phone calls. I'm gonna let you reply because I got a few more things. I wanna know what's going on with the hooks that are being removed. Did we start doing them, what do you call, when you secure them? Did we start securing them a different way? Is that helping? Randy, can you tell me that?
Yeah, we have. So we've been working with our vendor. They make a special locking nut. So we're putting 2 locking nuts on each hook. You have to have a special tool to remove it. And we also asked our vendor if they could start stamping City of St. Louis on our hooks. Because we believe a lot of the hooks are going out of state.
So if they try to sell them, they would have to then scratch that off, and people would see that they did something, and maybe that would slow them down, that this is not a good product anymore. Is that what we were saying?
Anything to deter them, correct?
Okay. I want to get a list of where the new dumpsters was placed, how many we got, and where they were placed. And I'm going to share with the committee. I think we should have got that anyway. Okay, I heard about it when it was being put out, and I want to know who put them out.
All right, I'll get that for you. I apologize. I'll get that for you.
No, look, so sometimes I'm so task oriented, I forget to eat. And then I'll get what we call in my house a headache, because it's not a headache. It's I raise hell then. And my husband will say, did you eat today? Maybe you need to eat before we get into this fight. Okay. So I get it. You're trying to pick up our trash. And I also want to know if you got some estimates or budget someplace of how much we make on recycling every month or every year, or however it's reported, and then compare that with a few years ago when I think we made a lot more money. Are we making money on recycling? I know the Good Earth argument. And so even though I know we're not really getting recycling, and I know that blue dumpster in back of my house is so messed up and got so much of the trash, I still rinse everything out, take the paper off of it. And in my household, my husband says, well, why are you doing that? You know, that's not, because I just want to do my part. That's why I want it separated, because I wish I could have a place to do it where, and so now that I hear that we have them at the fire station, I'm not going to put mine in that blue dumpster anymore, because that's just another trash can out there. That is not recycling. I want to do my part, and I'll pay extra or whatever. I am a recycler, and I know the big theory in that is that we want to save the planet for the next generation. But currently, we are stressing out the previous generation and the previous generation. My mother's generation, my mother's 87 years old and living and walks 4 miles a day. So her generation is used to clean alleys. They call it the scrubby Dutch, but the scrubby Dutch can go there. They scrub their front stairs. And so when you're making these decisions, you're not taking into effect my 91. I want you guys to ride with me, because I'm going to take you to a corner where there are 3 91-year-olds and a 92, 93, and they keep their property immaculate. And it's the corner of Margaretta and Euclid. And the cities, I'm just irritated that I owe them so much, my ability to go to law school, everything, and that we cannot keep their trash picked up in a respectful manner. We are disrespectful to our elders and those people who made it so that we could do things. That's why I'm down here now after all this time, because I'm so thankful that these people marched, did whatever they needed to do. When I was going through, I went through recalls for like 10 years in a row. There was a recall on me. Little old black lady said, "We got you, Miss Tyus, because we know they're not telling the truth on you." So I owe them back. I owe them for all the things they do. And so I think this administration is making a giant mistake to not do whatever we need to do to pick up trash, cut grass, and tear down vacant buildings. I don't care what you're talking about. I don't care who told you to spend the interest and sit on it. It's disrespectful to our elders and it's not just black elders, white elders too. It's disrespectful for us not to get the city as clean as we can, because they made it possible for all of us to sit down here. And I'm talking about the white women who marched so that we could vote. It's wrong, and we should not be doing this. And it's embarrassing for me to go and be around my constituents and try to answer why we're not picking the trash up and why we're not cutting grass. And it makes me cry, and why we're not tearing down buildings when we have so much extra cash sitting around. It is just purely wrong. And none of the mayor's people live in North St. Louis. And that's wrong right there, because you need somebody living right next to it. So every time they see the mayor, they say, "Madam Mayor, this is wrong." You need somebody to make her understand that. And I've been knowing her since she's been a little girl, and you all do not seem to get it, that it's not okay for my constituents and all those people in different parts of the community to live around this. And I know the young people, I used to live in Tower Grove. I didn't remember when the mayor moved to Tower Grove with her mom and daddy, because I lived on Clem and they lived on Shenandoah. I know a lot. This administration is not doing their job, and it's not okay with me. And if you think it's okay, I'll tell you what, all you people who live south of Page, stop picking your trash up, stop cutting your grass. And we're going to just put all the focus into North St. Louis. When you finally get to the point where you say, "I hate this," then you're going to say, that's how the people over in North St. Louis feel all the time. And they feel like that they're being let down because they understood why Francis Slade did it. Because it was racism. That's what Alderwoman Boyd was telling you. It was racism. That's what made Todd Walterman think it was okay, because he didn't live there. And then Lyda Crewson extended that. You're extending the very same thing, and it's not okay. That's why you run as the first Black mayor and the first Black female mayor, because you're telling the people, "I'm going to do better by you." But not only are you not doing better by them, you're not doing better by the whole city. And that pains me to get those kind of calls. And I don't think you're doing it on purpose. I just don't think you understand how your policy changes affects people. And so every time I hear you say, "Well, we still do this, but we're doing recycling," that infuriates me, because you're still using manpower that we could use someplace else. So that is what gets on my nerve. A recycler infuriates me, that you still said, "Oh, we're going to still do this anyway because a few people want it." So I will ask you to rethink using any manpower until we get up to full speed on alley recycling, unless those people are willing to pay more money. Now, if they want to pay more money and do that, that's fine. But if you got to do recycling, you're still using up manpower that the deputy commissioner needs to be picking up trash. And trash is more important than recycling. And I don't care who says it. Not in the long, big picture, but in the short term, it is more important. I see you all from the 17th. I wanted the director to be able to respond to my thing of returning phone calls.
So I do want to start by saying I apologize if there are any calls that I have not returned. But I do believe that every call that I have received from an alder, I have returned those calls. If you have my personal cell phone number and you've reached out to me, I have returned your calls. If you've asked to set up meetings, that has been done. I have done walk-in tours with alderpersons to look at different issues in their areas. I've come out to community events. And so if I'm not answering the phones, then how am I able to get to those things? Yes, I will say, this has been a challenge. One, with us moving out of our building from the flood. yes, our phone system that we have here in the city of St. Louis, the message that's there is the message it allowed me to give. If I was able to do more, I would have done more with the phone service that the city allows. Alderwoman or Madam Chairman, if it is the wish that we have separate phones, I'm fine with that. I don't think myself or the commissioners have ever said we would not give out our cell phone numbers to elected officials in this city. And since day one, I have always issued my cell phone. I come from a place where we've had 2 cell phones to operate, church and state. That's how I look at it. And now having to utilize 1 cell phone, I do my best to return any and every call that I receive on my phone. And like I said, you call my office, that's why it goes to Mary, so that she can write me a pink slip note and tell me who I need to call and the reason that I need to call them back. And so anytime that you've left messages for me, I have done that. And if I have not, I do apologize. And I ask that anyone that has reached out to me and I have not given you the call back that you desired or answered your question, or someone from my staff has not done that, I do ask that you let me know and I will make that change. Nancy, in one of my weekly meetings, maybe about a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, brought this to my attention that my commissioners were not responding calls. And so that's what we had, an immediate meeting. Randy can testify to that. That afternoon, we had a meeting to discuss, all of us, even myself included, we have to do better with responding to the alderman. At no given time, a citizen or alderman should call us and we don't respond. So if that has happened, I do apologize, but I ask that you give us the grace that you will allow us to start again. Or if you've called me about something and I haven't responded, it may be that I've passed it off to someone else on my team. And if they have not responded to you, please let me know so that I can take care of that as the director of streets. One thing is important to me is honoring my commitment. And so if you call me, I'm going to call you back. And so I will share my contact information with the Board of Aldermen, everyone that will have it, so that you can call me at any given time. And I think everyone that has called me, you call me on weekends, I answer the phone. If I'm not around my phone, I will call you back within a reasonable amount of time.
Okay, so why I suggested the 2 phone system is because we're under the sunshine rules. And so I don't necessarily think your personal phones, you want them to be available to anything. So I've advocated to the caucus and everybody else that you get a separate phone. So I don't let people text me on my phone right now, but next week I'm getting a new phone and then they can text me, but I will not have my personal information, because if they sunshine you and it's all on the same thing, then they get all of your data. And we have somebody who likes to do that. Okay. So that's why I'm saying that it should be done. It should be done across the city. Just what you say, a separation of church and state, not because the times that you may not have gotten back to me, but Kent Flakes is known for this. And so some of it may be that that's his phone. And so I don't know that I have a right to be mad at him for not calling me back when I'm calling him on his phone. But if I call him on a business phone, then I got a right to be mad if he's not calling. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's why I would advocate that. And the last thing is about automatic requests. I had some older people that said that they had called you to try to get automatic requests and that you had not responded to any of them. And you did not do what they asked you to do. So like I said, I'm going to pull up the automatic request, the written triplicate. I got them because I used to do about 500 a year. I was here before they had Citizen Service Bureau. When I got here, neighborhood improvement specialist was called, I can't remember it right now, but it was not called neighborhood improvement or neighborhood specialist. It was something else. And Pearline Hawkins was mine. So, and everybody did. I beg your pardon? What was it called? Somebody said it.
Neighborhood stabilization.
No. Wait.
NSOs.
No, before that. So you guys are all too new. This was in 91. They were not called, and everybody didn't have them. We didn't get them until Freeman Bosley became the mayor. Then that just certain neighborhoods had them, and Barb Potts will be able to tell you. but it wasn't called neighborhood improvement or neighborhoods, any of that. It was another name, and it just slips my mind. But and Penrose had one, and certain other neighborhoods, and I was appalled because my Kingsway West and East didn't have them. And so when Freeman came in, he was going to add some more, and he ended up giving everybody one. So that's when we got him in '93. So what is your position about automatic requests? Do we need to go back to putting them in writing so that you know that you got them?
So I am perfectly fine. I made a note of that automatic request form. If that is a process that we've had in the past to assure that items are being taken care of, then I'm fine with that. So if that's something that I can, if the alderman wants to start that and send those requests out, or if it's something that I can develop and send out, I'm fine.
You don't have to develop it. I have them around. I have all my stuff from 1991. Shame on me. That makes me a hoarder, but okay.
But yes, no, I am open to utilizing those so that we can make sure those requests are getting served. And I do believe, and when I pass it off to a team member, and if I don't hear anything else about it, then I'm assuming that it has been taken care of. And so I think that this automatic request form will allow us to put us in a place where I'm checking back in on it, because then I have this sheet to talk to my commissioners or whoever on the team that I've assigned this assignment to. So I know ultimately the email may have been sent to me, the correspondent was sent to me, but once I get it in the mail and pass it off to who it needs to be, who handles that on a daily basis, it's my expectation that it's being done. And if that's not being done, then that's something that I need to know. I have one that came in the mail, Alderwoman Tyus, about some sidewalk. I immediately opened the email, took a picture of it, and sent it to Zach Fortune to figure out what is the situation and what is the dealing with this request. So at no given point, or am I or anyone else just overlooking them, we get them in and I send them to who needs to take care of them in the department. But if that's not happened, I need to be aware of it.
So nobody is being politically punished for any reason because they ran for an office or anything like that. Because one of the things that'll happen with me over here, it could be my worst enemy over here, but if I think that they're not being treated fairly, you would think it would be my best friend, because I will take up for their right to take their own positions, because I have been adamant about that for 31 years. And I'm like a cockroach. They do not kill me, okay? So I think people have a right to have their own positions and then not be getting punished and not be getting services, because anybody that the mayor's office punished is also one of their constituents. So if somebody is telling you not to respond, or if you're telling your commissioners not to respond, I don't think that's a good thing at all. And so I'm hoping that that's not happening.
That is not the case at all, Alderwoman Tyus. I am, or Chairman Tyus,
Chairwoman, actually, because
Chairwoman Tyus, that is not the case. We have, I tell people all the time, I'm here to do a job and identify how the streets department can be a better service to the citizens of St. Louis. It is not about political. When I talk to people, they pretty much have to tell me every time which ward people are from, or where they are, or what they're doing. And when we have discussions, we don't talk north-south. That's why when Randy, you talked about the trash service and in north and routes and where's the dividing line, we don't even talk that way, because this is to fight and to figure out how can we get this city taken care of as a whole. So no, it is not that at all.
Okay. So then that's good, because that was one of the questions the alderperson can't be here asked me about. And that was my mother, who's 87, just calls me. So who is here? Alderman Bosley, you still here? Alderman Vaccaro, you still here? Alderwoman.
Yeah, yes, I am. I'm sorry.
Okay, can you?
There's confusion. People are texting me because of the public safety meeting, but it was canceled. And so what's happening is
Can you recognize the Alderwoman from the 17th? When my mother calls me, I have to go take that, okay? Alderman, can you chair the meeting while I go take this phone call?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, yes, no, that, I can share that now.
okay, Alderwoman Peel,
Okay.
17%.
Laura,
Thank you, Madam
Laura,
Chair.
hang on one second. Wait a minute, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I can't get into the Zoom.
It was called off for today. Hang on one. Alderwoman from the 17th, I believe you have your hand up.
Thank you, Vice Chair Vaccaro. Yeah, my question is receiving direct phone lines for some of your staff. Ms. Williams, you've done a great job. I love working with you. You've been very attentive. I appreciate that. I don't, in terms of the person I'd love to get direct contact with is Ken Flake. I did not realize that this was how big this issue was until being at this hearing right now. I thought it was just myself. I have asked Kent for his number directly many times on the email, and he hasn't even responded to that. So, and then I try to leave a message through the city phone system, and I can't even I know it's very complicated with this, you changing offices and everything else. So it's just, I am not able to get through on that, but I've asked, I have 2 or 3 emails saying to Kent, please give me your direct line, and I don't get a response. And I want to speak with him because you know that we've been going back and forth with some emails over the last week with some issues here in the 17th Ward. And it would be better to be speaking to somebody than and have a discussion back and forth instead of having these emails that really can't represent all of the conversation or the story in this complicated issue that we're trying to solve here in the 17th. So I would actually love to have a call with you regarding these 2 alleys here in the 17th, because I know that time is of an essence with the paving and the weather and everything else. So again, I'd love to have a call with you and Kent or whoever, so that we can resolve this problem in the 17th before it gets too cold and paving does not happen. So, but yeah, I would love to have, again, a direct line to Kent Flake. Hopefully then we could communicate, be able to communicate. So thank you.
So, okay, and Alderwoman Peel, I would say you should now have Nancy Cross's number, who is apparently the big boss on down, and I would go that route too. You know, make those calls. If you're not getting calls, it's on them to make sure that he returns your call. Is there anyone else on or off the committee that wants to speak on the refuge issue that we're talking about? Anyone? I see no hands. So at this point, I just want to thank everyone for coming in, Randy and Bethany and Nancy Cross. Thank you for coming in. I know it's not always that exciting to come talk to us and spend a few hours with us. We're kind of boring sometimes. But I do appreciate you coming in. Randy, you know that I think as a group, we've all said we all think you do a wonderful job, and you're in a hard position. Hopefully look at my alley, but that's not what this meeting was about. Thank you for coming in. With having done that, I would say that I don't think there was any other business that I know of, so we can actually adjourn if someone wants to make a motion to adjourn. Or we could stay here forever.
To adjourn.
Oh, we have a motion. And do we have a second to that motion? I will second it. I will actually second that motion. So let me go with all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Bye-bye.
For us that are here. Anyway, the meeting's adjourned. God bless. Thank everyone for coming out.
Everybody.
Thanks.
Bye. Be safe.